So welcome to this week's episode of Conversations with an Investor. I have Dave Callanen with me today, who has been an adventurous investor over the years. We're going to cover off what he's looked at, what type of properties I've had to tell him to avoid, all the twists and turns in his story, how he ended up going from Australia to America, then back home, settling with his wife to start a family. Also what happened in the credit crunch in 08, 09, how he jumped out the frying pan and into the fire in the motor trade, and why he decided early on to set a big goal and a big dream, to think big and to have a big plan that he would hit a target for on his 17th birthday, and why that magic of setting a goal, working hard towards it and taking the small steps to get there is the secret sauce. So without further ado, let's dive right in. How did we end up? How did we end up here, Dave? Where did it all begin?
2015.
You have an uncanny memory for this, because we were going through this recently, and you were telling me in detail the things that some of the things that I'd said.
Yeah, so
was it 2015?
2015.
Was
2015, yeah. I was looking at Dundee at home. It's like Gumtree over here. And I seen this place up Wishaw. I was like, I googled the postcode and I wasn't seen it come up Scotland. So tried ringing the number, rang it 3-4 times, no one ever answered. And eventually got a phone call back. So it was Lionel. No, you're a friend of my friend. Lionel anyways, he rings me back and I said, you have a place for sale, what's the story with it? So he said, look, I'm going to do up a farmhouse here in Ireland on my estate. He said, I'm just looking to get some cash. So I said, right, that's fair enough. I said, can I look at it? And he said, well, look, I have a friend over in Scotland called George. He looks after everything for me. I'll be in contact with him. So that was fine. I ring you up, and like every time I always talk to you, straight to the point. So I ring you up and I said, hi, Lionel's to give you a call about picking me up at the airport. And then you start going on telling me about a story about how you seen this Porsche down in Birmingham, how you rang up your man, you put down a deposit, and you more or less said to me, you said, look, if you're coming over here, put down £1,000 deposit. Talk is cheap. Yep. It's easy to say that you're going to come over and you're just going to waste my time. Like these people I pick up, they came over already, some man and his wife that own a takeaway. You brought them all around, hooked them up, dropped them off, and never heard from them again. So as you know, I had arranged a solicitor through Lionel, Colin Haverty. He's gone since, the poor man. But you collected me from the airport, and I was like, Jesus Christ, what's going to go on here? Yeah,
I remember Lionel had the property. It was Lionel's property when he was thinking about selling it. I says, yeah, that's fine. And Lionel, if you had a scale or a spectrum of what people are like, Lionel's on the softer end, a more delicate approach, more of a, let's be as friendly as possible. I'm more to the other end of that scale, where I tend to be quite blunt and direct, that might rub people up the wrong way, because they may prefer that friendly, softly approach, but I'm not, I'm like, well, I want to know if this is happening. Now, I said to Lionel initially, I was like, look, I've got things to do, I don't want to waste my time with people, just in a little adventure, wanting to get themselves a day out.
Yeah.
And it says, look, it says, if you've got somebody that's serious, you need to get a deposit off them. It says, nobody will pay a deposit. I was like, well, yeah, they will. And he says, well, why would they pay a deposit? I says, well, if they're serious and they like the look of it, you say, look, you can come over here and do it.
To look at.
Says, if you're either doing it or you're not. And if they can't pay a deposit, then they're not worth the time. They're just tire kickers. And I've not got time for them. So with the best will in the world, if you want to get someone else to show these people around because you like it all fluffy and friendly, more power to you. But if you get somebody, then this is how it is. And I think what had happened was he'd left that to me to break the news.
Yeah.
But I says, no, look, here's the way it is. It's great. I don't know you from Adam. You're talking a big game, that you're really interested in this property and that you're coming over and you're serious and all that. I was like, talk is cheap. Like, anybody can make that noise.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're serious, here's what I did.
Yeah.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah. Well, Lewis.
And you did.
Like I said, I rang him back and I said, look, I want to meet up with you and give you a deposit. Mm-hmm. He said, why do you want to give me a deposit? I said, because George told me if I'm genuine and I'm definitely going to come and buy it, put down a deposit.
Yep.
He said, look, I'll tell George you gave me a deposit. You seem to be that interested. I'll take it that you're going to go over and look at it. So as I said, we rang with Callanan already organised to do the paperwork if I was happy and I knew what I had to bring with me. So you collected me from the airport. We got in your black Porsche and we're going down the motorway at about 150 mile an hour. And I said, I'd be lucky if I ever see this fucking house. So we get to the house and we go in, and it was tenant with 2 tenants. 2 nice people, anyways, but looked at the house and it was what it was. It was exactly as he described. It needed a bit of a hand, but it was a good it was a good price for what it was. So I think he was looking at the time maybe £70,000 for it. Mm-hmm. So me and you then went into Callanan and walked through the baby blue hall upstairs, paid falling off the wall with damp, and got the show on the road.
It was that I've been in a few solicitors' offices are quite interesting. They're quite varied because you've got the really, really polished high-end offices. Everything's immaculate. The majority of solicitors are like a crime scene investigator would do well to find their way around. Yeah. The lawyer will know where every single document is. Yeah. But no one else other than them could figure it out because it's piled everywhere. Yeah. And then you get the other end, which Colin was on, which was, I don't know if he knew where everything was, but he seemed to be getting by. And the last thing on his priority list was not how the office appeared. Yeah. So we went in there and it actually fit what we were doing because it was quite funny when we were like, right, I didn't know what Colin's office looked like. And, you know, we're like, right, the property's done up. We've got this Irish guy wanting to do a deal. I've got this sort of Saul level solicitor, you know, if you remember, like Ask Saul from Breaking Bad. What is going on here? Right, okay, fine. Like if you can get it done, then great. And that's how we met. That's where we kicked off.
That's how we met. And like when we were going back in towards Court Bridge, we were going to get a bite to eat. And I said to you, what's the story with Lionel? Because obviously I didn't know anything about him. He had this property on. He wouldn't answer the phone. He'd ring at random times. You know, like even for me, going all, as I told you before, going all the way over to Glasgow. It was a big chance because I didn't even know if there'd be anyone there. I could have been robbed. I didn't know what to expect, you know. But that's when you told me with Lionel how Lionel was in a bad place where investments had gone wrong and everything like this. And, you know, you were able to come in, help him out, get him on the right track, try to get the properties up and going and literally tell him you have 16 properties there that are literally beyond saving. It's time just to get rid of them, you know. Yeah. But like
Lionel was spectacularly shafted. Yeah. I mean, this is what I mean about people taking advantage of that end of the scale being nice.
It's a nice, friendly bloke. Yeah.
What happens is you get people that are a bit, you get 2 types. You get the blatant sort of, I see weakness here, I'm going to exploit it. Yeah. You get other people that are just, you know the type, they exploit people and they don't really know it. It's just their nature. Yeah. And they don't think they're doing anything wrong. Well, Lionel was a prime target for that. So when Lionel was introduced to me through another mutual solicitor friend, and he says, look, I've got this guy over in Ireland, he's got these properties, they don't seem to be making money.
He's going to go bankrupt one day. Yeah. He was going to pay bankruptcy.
Well, I remember when I was looking at in the Jim, the solicitor, had said to me, I says, tell me what you know. So Jim had arranged the transactions for him. He says, what do you think? And I says, well, without looking at the information, I says, there's only 2 possible outcomes. Either the person that he's running it is incompetent to a level that I have never seen before, to the point where they're making mistakes that are suspicious in themselves. Yeah. Or he's being spectacularly shafted.
Getting robbed.
And I mean, shafted.
Yeah. Your man was his cousin, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. And I said, I was like, look, get me the information. So Lionel had supplied all the information over to me, and I looked through it, instantly knew. And I'd spoke to Jim, and I was like, Jim, like I don't know what the relationship is between everyone. Yeah. But like as a guy who, this is my bag, this is my field of expertise, I would bet the house in every single thing that I have that this guy's getting shafted. So lo and behold, what had happened was Lionel came over. I'd went over and met Lionel, and he says, look, are you interested in trying to repair this? I was like, look, nobody in their right mind would touch this. So I made an offer where I says, look, if you're interested in doing this, this would be the arrangement. And nobody in their right mind should have accepted it. because in reality, it was an offer that he shouldn't have accepted, and in reality, it was an offer that suggested I didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, it was.
But if for whatever magical reason that I took it on, that this would be the arrangement. So we took it on and turned round that portfolio, and there was two parts to it. The first was it was cutting the rip off that was happening.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that was stopped. Then it was getting proper management in to manage it properly. And then it was taking the stuff that was really, really abused and ran down because he was being told lies, he was relying on other people, and fixing that. And then it gradually got to the point where it was exactly how it should have looked. And when he got to that point, he was so exhausted.
Yeah.
By the stress, the hassle, the being told lies, he's trusted people, and he's like, and as we mentioned about my style, like I went and spoke to him and his dad, and I hit them like a sniper, and I was like, I did not miss. I says, here's what's happening, here's how it is, here's the number. Like, don't take my opinion. My opinion is just the basis of it. Here's how I've drew the conclusions, and it ended up. It was like, I don't know how we didn't see it, and I'm like, well, sometimes you need that blunt force trauma where I can see why people are taking the piss out of you. And I can, because I'm at the other end of the scale where I don't suffer that. I don't know anybody. I just look at it and tell you, I tell you straight. And I didn't know if I was offending the cousin or who knew what, or I didn't know. And I wasn't, for me, I wasn't interested. Yeah. Because here's what it is. So Lionel gets this property and he's looking to release some cash, and you were like, what's the story? So I took you out for, I think it was maybe lunch or dinner. Yeah, I took you out because by this point in time, I realised you're not a tire kicker, good guy, starting to find out a wee bit more about you, because we're driving around, we're having a chat, and I'm like, right, so tell me a bit about tell me a bit about your story. So as I was finding out about you, it was now because I was fitting all the pieces together, and I thought, right, well, this is a guy worth spending a bit of time with, because I can see what he's trying to do, and I can see why he's here, and
taking the chance.
There was that sense that I could pick up your energy. It was like that. And this guy's worth, spending a bit of time with to nurture what it is he's trying to do. Because if he does keep at this it's going to work really well for him.
Yeah, no, and it has worked very well for me.
So, to give people a bit of background, I take it you didn't miraculously appear one day on Dundee in Ireland. How did you get to the point? What happened before all this? You southwest of where Lionel was in Ireland?
Yeah, so I'm on the west coast of Ireland. I'm in Galway.
Right.
So I'm out the west coast. I'm from Connemara, so we're out on the side of it. Next stop, America, if you took off the bottom of my road. Looking out on the Atlantic Ocean.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So my mom is from there. My father's from South Galway, from the opposite side. So we settled back there. And my dad's a mechanic. My grandfather's a mechanic. I have 4 uncles mechanics. They're in London. I have 3 uncles mechanics, and another uncle. They're living in London. So it's just my dad there, and he's a garage at my grandmother's house. So from a young age, my mom always worked any hour she would be given. My father, the same thing. My dad would leave, drop us at school in the morning. He would be home at 12 o'clock every night. And then when any holiday would come, I'd go with him. So I'd be seeing my dad fixing cars, seeing him selling cars, doing every kind of thing, really. Seeing the whole deal and dealing with people, all that type of stuff. So from a young age, I always had an interest in cars. When I was 7 years old, my father taught me how to drive. I was just cars mad always. Even my mom, she'll tell you, obsessed with them. So
you say you were driving at 7?
7. The day my dad, I'll never forget, it was a Mark. It was a 1980s Golf, and my dad drove up this lane, and I said, "What are we doing?" He said, "You drive here now." And it was this little lane up to a castle, and that's where I learned how to drive. And every Saturday, I'd know school obviously on Saturday. I'd go to school in Connemara, and my dad and I'd go to work with him on a Saturday. And every Saturday, I'd always be plaguing him to bring me up the back roads so I could learn how to drive, So I always had that about cars. I used to be driving cars around the back of my granny's, a field, doing all that kind of stuff. But the first thing that really, took off was one night, myself and my dad were coming home. And it was late, we used to be going to all the auctions, all that stuff. But this one night, we're coming home late, and we get to a petrol station. right? So we pull up to the petrol station, and there's about 5 lads gathered around this car, and there's steam coming out of the bottom of it. It was a 1988 Volkswagen Jetta. Now, this is back in around, this would have been back around 98, so the car was about 10 years old at the time. So my dad goes over to see could he help these lads out because the steam's coming out, and he goes over and looks at the car and he said, look, he said, that joke's, the head gas is gone, it's overheating, it's fucked. So they said, geez, we really want to go down to Monavea, it's another part of Galway, there was a nightclub in it. And they said to Dad, is there any chance he'll bring us down? So for whatever reason, my dad, this is about, as I said, no, 10, 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, we were going home to Inver in another good 40-minute drive. My dad said, yeah, sure, jump in, we'll throw you off. So he loads us all up, so it's me, my dad, and 5 of these lads inside in the car, and we heading out for Monavea. So we drive all the way out.
So Monavea place?
It's a place, small village. It would have been definitely a 35-minute drive from where we collected them. Like, where we're going.
So you're going 35 minutes the other way? Completely
wrong direction, right? Mm-hmm. So we land in Monavea, and the boys look in, they say, there's nothing inside there, he said. He said, will you bring us to Athenry? So that's another town, another 15, 20 minutes away, definitely 20 minutes away. So that's the sound. So we went on anyways, up, get to Athenry, and we dropped them off. And when one of them was getting out, he had glasses, I'll never forget him. He threw the keys to Dad, and he said, give the car to the young lad, he said. Right? So that was that 88 Jetta. So a couple of days later, we went in.
What age were you at this point?
12, going on 13, right? About 12, yeah. So then we went in a couple of days later, brought it out, and I was doing whatever I was able to do. Like, it might have been a whole pile, but I was trying best. And my dad, you know, we'd done the head gasket together, we'd done everything. And that car, as I said, I got it for free. So whatever it cost at the time to get it up and going, but my dad sold it to one of his customers for £1,300. Now, £1,300 at that age is a lot of money. Like
£1,300 at 12, you might as well have won the lottery.
I might have won the lotto, right? Yeah. And as I said, we were always going to the auctions.
Yep.
So then we'd get a bus up, absolute lunacy. If anyone was seen doing this now, the guards would arrest them. Like, that's the police in Ireland, they'd arrest you. We'd get the bus from Galway up to Liffey Valley, and then we'd walk along and walk out onto a motorway and start walking down along the hard shoulder motorway, and the first taxi we'd seen, we'd flag it down. Like, pure craziness walking down. Like, I would have, as I said, 12, walking down along the road, me and my dad, see a taxi, flag it down. Every taxi that'd pick us up would be shocked how we were even walking on the motorway. He'd bring us down. So we're in the auction, and as this day, and there's a Fiesta coming up, a 94 Fiesta. And I have the £1,300. So this Fiesta goes in anyways, and...
So you're at the auction?
We're at the auction.
Right.
I have £1,300, right? And
so what's the deal? What's the connection between walking down the motorway and getting to the auction?
So there was no direct bus that would bring you to this. The auction was in another part of
So
Dublin.
you want to get to the auction, but so that you can drive back. You don't want to leave a car there.
Yeah, you don't leave a car.
Right, so you take a bus and then walk to the motorway so that you can then get flag a taxi so you can get to the auction.
So we get to the auction, so we buy a car, right? So we'd no car going up. We'd always have a car coming home. We'd buy you something. So anyways, we go in, and this Fiesta's coming up. It's a 94 silver Fiesta. And we're looking around, and I say to Dad, I'll take a go at it. So 2 Fiestas came through that day, and I bought that one, and my dad bought another one. And we drove the one that I bought home. So then, as I said, every Saturday we going up, and one of my dad's friends helped me, and we just tidied it all up, and we ended up selling it to a man from Pakistan, bought it off me. And when he bought the car off me, he gave me, I think it was like £4,000 at the time. So like this car that I bought, I didn't even give £1,300 for it. Whatever, gave maybe £1,000 for it. Spent a bit of money on it. My dad helped me out and his friend, and got that money.
How quickly between the Jetta and the Fiesta?
Probably looking at about 5 months if you're looking at it in the thing, but at this point
you are hooked.
Yeah, I'm hooked. So I'm going up every time I'm going up with my dad. I was buying Vauxhall, Opel Astras, anything like that, Fiestas, anything that would sell quick. We used to advertise them on the local paper, the Connacht Tribune. That wasn't Dundee time, buy and sell the cars. And I was literally, like, as I said, I was saving the money. I'd sell one, try to buy 2, and it just kept growing and
For
growing. For
anybody that doesn't know, before the internet, right, because there'll be people out there that don't know this, is that what Dave's describing here is that when you wanted to sell something, there was everywhere had a paper that would have the adverts for things that were for sale, cars, furniture, anything that was possible. Just look at Gumtree or eBay. Yeah. All that stuff was in a paper. Yeah. So you would buy this paper and you'd look through the classifieds.
And people didn't want to travel, didn't want to go to a lot of people wanted to just buy in Galway. They didn't want to be going to Dublin, or they didn't want to be going to Wexford or going up to Northern Ireland. They just wanted to buy somewhere that they could be within an hour, you know. And literally, that's how it all started. Like, I was just kept buying cars, and then when I was 13, then I went to London.
So you've done this all before you were 13?
All before I was 13. So when I finished primary school, I was 13. I wasn't even 13 when I finished primary school.
What happened with school?
School was no good for me because, like, I would start at school, I think 91 I started, right? I'm 36 now. And when I started school, there was no talk about dyslexia or anything like that, right? And I heard one of my friends talking one day. He said, back in the 90s when people were going to school, right? If you weren't good at reading or you weren't good at writing, you were a thick cunt, right? And anyone that had ADHD or, you know, any of these other real energy things, they were a mad cunt. So they were your two options. You had a thick cunt and a mad cunt.
So you were a smart cunt, thick cunt, mad cunt.
That was
your category.
That was it. That was the category. And I was with the thick cunts, right? There was a for my friends.
And were you aware that there was 3 groups?
I was aware that me and my friends were on our own, right? And when we were in school, as I said, we're going through baby infants, nothing really, senior infants. It's different to the system they here in the UK.
So what is baby infants?
Baby infants, you start there, so you're like 4 years old. So that's just more or less thing. And because my father is from South Galway, my mother's from West Galway, so it's all, where I grew up was all Irish. So it was all native Irish speaking. His first language was Irish. My father's first language would be English. So in my house...
So Irish, is this like the Irish Gaelic?
Gaelic. So to my grandmother, my mom's mother, God rest her, I'd be speaking her, to my Dad Joe, as they call her, to my grandfather, I'd be speaking Irish to him and speaking English, but to my dad it was always English, so I wasn't speaking Irish all the time. Do you get me? Like,
you used to be able to speak both.
You'd be able to speak both, yeah. Right. You'd be able to speak both, but see, when you're not speaking it, a lot of my friends, see, they would have grown up from the start just speaking Irish. English would have been their second language. But for me, Irish was my second language. So when I started at 4 years old, right? Like, I remember when my mom was putting me to play school. And a memory I'll never ever forget, right? So her and her best friend's son, he's the same age as me, they brought us into the play school, right? My mom was driving a brown Escort, never forget it. So we rock up anyways when she pulled up outside the playhouse and she's walking the two of us in, and I was like, I'm not going in there. So they bring us up, and my mom walks in and her mate, and her friend's son, Aidan, he sits down, and next to my mom sneaks out, like without me knowing, right? So I'm looking out these big windows, these big tall windows, and I see my mom walking out towards the Escort. And I pick up a chair, and I told the woman, I said, if you don't open that door, I'm going to put this chair out to the window and I'm going to go out. So she opened the door, and I ran down past my mom, and I went into the car, and I locked myself inside in the car before she could think, because I wasn't going in there. Like,
what age were you?
I was probably about 3 going on 4 at that time, right? So when I started in primary school in Connemara, then see...
Did she think at that time, so there's the three groups?
Oh no,
that sounds like a mad cunt. No, the thick cunt or the smart cunt.
Rubbing off the mad cunt part of it, right? So we, when I started in the national...
You're only like 3 going to 4, so you've not really established which group that you feel most comfortable in.
No, but see, one of the things for me is we originally lived beside the garage. You know, so I wasn't born, we were living in Connemara straight away. We were actually living right across the road from the garage. So I was with my dad all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. I would not leave my dad's side. Literally, if my dad was going to the toilet, I have to wait outside the door. I was obsessed with my dad. So in the garage, I was there like 2, 3. I was walking around the garage. I caused more mayhem for the poor man. Like, one time he fixed the side of a van, right? And one of his customers came. I climbed into the customer's car, let off the handbrake, and the car rolled straight back and hit the van he was after fixing. He couldn't leave keys anywhere. I take the keys, I put them down the fuel tank. I was just wild. Wild. He bought a brand new Golf in 1990, right? And one of his good friends was a local guard in Gort at the time. And my mom was very friendly with him.
Local guard and local police.
Local police, yeah. So he called by to call into my mom, have a chat. Him and my mom were great friends. So the squad car was pulled in front. My dad's pulled in behind in his new Golf. The car wasn't even a year old. It was a Golf van. And for some notion, I get the brainwave, I'm going to turn this for him. So when he comes out, now this point, this is 1990, like I was born in 87, the end of 87.
So you're 3.
3. I have it in my head, I'm going to turn this car for him because it'll be handy for him when he's going. We can go straight away. We won't have to be waiting like. So my dad's going into the house, I'm in the Golf, and it's not like cars nowadays where you turn the key, you have to press the clutch. I turned the key in this yoke, and it starts, and I panic, and I press the accelerator. I hit the police car up the hole, and I drive it out through the wall, the boundary wall of the house. I drive the police car into the wall, and my dad had to stay. He had to fix that and stay up all night fixing this car. Right, so I was.
And what was your dad like about this? Was he telling you off?
No, my dad had the best patience ever. He never ever told me off. Never hit me. Never anything. He was just I don't know how he put up with it. Like, my dad is 21 years older than me. He never ever, like, he'd give out, he'd shout or say something, but he'd never ever be angry at me. I was probably there with him when he was, trying to get imagine the local police car, like, after hitting it and put it through a wall, like, and he stayed up all night and got it sorted, like.
So you've drove the new Golf into the back of the police car, and the police car's been pushed through the wall.
Sierra, yeah, and pushed it through the wall. At the boundary, the boundary wall of the site. I've pushed
the garden wall, or into the house?
No, the garden wall.
Right.
Yeah, and pushed it through the wall. So the front, the back, and the front of his brand new Golf was destroyed.
And what about the police car?
That's what I'm saying. The front of the police car, the back of the police car, and things.
The front of the Golf?
Yeah, so he had to stay up all night and paint the front of it, get it all fixed up and painted, so your man could bring the car back so no one would ever notice that the car was damaged. And I'm 3 at this, so I'm grown up being in the garage as people. This
is why I get deposits off people. I know. I know this stuff goes on.
Yeah, this shit happens, like.
If somebody's prepared, right, you've got a rascal. We all have a rascal in us.
Yeah.
Right? I don't trust anybody that doesn't have a rascal in them.
Yeah.
Because if I know that I'm a rascal,
yeah.
I know you're a rascal.
Yeah.
And if we can agree that we're both rascals,
yeah.
we're on to a good start.
We're on the same playing field.
But see if you know you're a rascal and somebody claims they're not a rascal.
Yeah.
You've got there's a mismatch.
Yeah.
I don't know if this will work out.
Yeah. So
it shows that you've had a bit of rascality.
Yeah, I had a wildness in me. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I don't know how my mum and dad had the patience for me, but when I started in school, as I said, I was literally learning Irish then, because by the time we moved from there to Connemara, where I grew up.
So would they be teaching you Irish, Gaelic in the school?
Yeah.
So you would be going to school and the first language they'd be teaching was
Gaelic.
Irish,
yeah.
Gaelic.
Yeah, so whatever little words I knew from my mom or from my grandmother,
right.
That was it. So when I started there, my first cousin, there's only 2 months between us, like, so she started at the same time, but she was there from day one. Now, her mom as well doesn't speak Irish as a first language, but her dad does, my uncle. So she obviously was way ahead of me, like, so when I started there, I was literally going in and starting more or less from scratch. So you had baby infants, I said, then seniors. But by the time you got to first class, like when you
wage when you get to first class?
7.
Yeah. Right,
so you're 6 on 7.
4 to 7. You got 3 years of this infancy sort of training preparation.
This is the first proper year, we'll say,
And when you get there, are they teaching you? Is it still Gaelic?
You're only allowed to speak Gaelic. You'll get in trouble if you speak English, see.
See.
That's it. So it's only Gaelic. You're not meant to be speaking. Obviously, people speak English, but you get punished if the teachers caught you speaking English there.
Well, I mean, I remember at school when I was. It sounds similar to something that happened to me when I was younger. We moved really frequently. Things weren't going great with the parents, so lots and lots of moves, and I was in 7 different primary schools within 5 years. Can't remember, was it 5? I need to remember. It's either 5 and 7 years or 7 and 5 years. Anyway, enough to move around. And I went to a school that was in a village, and the teacher there was an old teacher.
Yeah,
strict.
Old school. Yeah.
And I'm left-handed.
Yeah,
you can't write with your left hand, and I'm like, well, that's a right left-handed.
The kids, they call that.
And they would hit you with the tap the table.
Yeah.
You need to write with your right hand. And had to get my mum to go down to school and be like, no, he's left-handed.
Yeah.
But that was the way, just like you say, they're going to give you in trouble for this.
Yeah.
Which, look, that if you're going to have kids that are there that have these,
different
it's not like that's it's the odd one out. This is what goes on. So you need to take you need to go with the flow here.
Yeah.
Rather than being, completely strict. And it's one of the funny things that I didn't know, because I didn't realise this, because we have Gaelic here, but it's very sporadically used. And when I can't remember what property you were buying, but you're having some trouble with the solicitors. And you said to me, this is what they're sending me, and I told you to get them, just tell them to beat it, and I'll put you on to a good solicitor. And the solicitor phoned me up and says, how well do you know Dave? And I'm like, quite well. I was like, and what was up? He says, well, I don't know what he sent through, because, and she says, look, we'll need to ask Dave if we can get his permission to discuss this with you. And I was like, well, I'm sure you phone him, he'll, like, I think he'll be fine. Like, I was like, because he comes to me and you come to me, and I'm like, I don't imagine a situation where he'll go, no, I don't want you to mention anything. And one of the things that she was like, must have been your bank account. And it's in Gaelic. And I remember I'm like, Dave, what the fuck is this thing you've sent through? And you're like, it's a bank statement. I'm like, but what fucking language?
Yeah.
And you're like, no, that's Irish. And I'm like, Irish what?
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? And that was how I found out. And I didn't click.
In your head. Yeah.
So it makes sense that you've got that sort of stuff in the school system.
Yeah, because you were saying it was like the Da Vinci Code trying to work out what was wrong with this.
You need to send me the fucking codex to work this out. I don't know what this is.
Yeah, so
we had a good laugh about it because it was funny.
That went on for a couple of weeks anyway.
And because it's that jokey kind of, Scotsman and Irishman, like, I was like, Dave, what is this? A bank statement? Like, from where? The bank. Like, the bank of fucking where? They're like, round the corner. I'm like, Dave, this is in a different language. You're like, it's Irish. And it just went, it was like a tennis rally, just back, forward.
Yeah, but do you remember the time when I was in America and I was sending you these places and you were like, send me the address, and I screenshot it, and I said, do you not see it wrote there on the top of the yoke where you meant to screenshot the actual link and send it to you? Do you remember that?
Aye.
Yeah.
I would say you send the link and you'd screenshot it, and I'm like, no, Dave, we need to cover this off. Yeah. I can't hit this with your screenshot. Like, if you screenshot this to me, I can't click it because you've sent me a photograph of your screen. And you're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, it doesn't work like that. You're like, well, what do you do? Like, we we'll talk our way through it.
Yeah.
I says, well, if you do this and you do that, you're like, oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So you mean you can't hit the photograph? I'm like, no, Dave, you can't hit the photograph.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. So it was good fun.
Yeah, but in school then, as I said, we got into first class then, and there was a handful of friends, and still to this day.
So they in the same sort of...
We're all in the same scenario.
What group are they in?
We're all in the thick cunts.
Thick cunts. Right. Any mad cunts? No, just thick.
No, there was one mad cunt, but he had to stay back here, right? He was a lunatic.
So the fucking lunatic that's fucking doing laps round the fucking classroom.
Pulling people's hair, jumping up on the table. I'm still friends with him today. Very good friend of mine, like, and they just said, look, you're going to have to bring him back a year later, let him calm down at home. Like,
he's just need to take a breather.
He's still wild today. He just needed to tone it down, take some of the madness away.
You always had one in school that they would be up on the fucking table, they'd have taken their trousers off, they've tied it like a bandana, they're fucking making buzzing noises, and you go, I don't know what's happened here, but something has took place.
Yeah. No, but so there's still some of them, I'm still friends with 4 of them today that were in this group with me, right? And we were getting Muncher Fels, which means like a teacher like helping you. It's to help you reading, help you writing, all this type of stuff, like especially spelling and all that, which was a big problem. And still today, I'm a very bad reader, very, very bad writer, everything. Like, even I write some stuff myself, I'm like, what the fuck does that say? I wrote it myself, I haven't a clue. But my mom used to be up, like, so they'd give you a spelling test. When you start in first class, you'd be doing spelling tests every Friday. They'd give you the words on a Monday, you're going to practice all week, and then on Friday, she'd call everyone up to the thing. And it wasn't like cat, dog, mat. You'd write that. She'd rub it out and she'd say, write this now. So you couldn't even memorize what the last person was after writing because she could throw any word at you. Do you get me? Yeah. So you were given these words and you had to write it. And I can honestly put my hand up and say, I'd never, ever passed a spelling test. I don't know that I even get 2 of them right out of the 5 of them. I just couldn't put it together in my head. Couldn't remember. I have a very good memory, but I could not remember anything to do with the words. And once that, then it was literally spiraled downhill from there. Like, you were just left aside. So me and my friends.
So see if you think about how your brain works. If you were to describe how what your brain's like inside.
Yeah.
Do you tend to not see the way things are written, but rather see them visually? Like, do you see a picture rather than letters? Like, how do you see things?
I can't even describe it. I actually can't even describe it because, as I said, I could write I've often wrote a text message, right? And I know what I want to write. And I'd look at it and I could wrote the same thing fucking 3 times. Without me even thinking. I'd have to go back and start deleting it and then start again. I just can't, I just can't. Even road signs, like signposts, not a clue. I remember being in America and my boss said to me, "Where are you?" And I looked up at the thing. I hadn't a clue what it said. I said, "I can see the letters, but I don't know what it means." I couldn't even pronounce it. I had to spell it out for him.
Yep.
So he knew where I was. Do you get me? Like, absolutely insane. Like, and so when this happened, once in first class and that was there, we gradually we'd go in and they'd call you in, you do extra reading, extra writing with all these teachers. But the main teacher said, "Look, if you can just stay to the side and keep quiet, don't be disturbing the class, because once you're left like that, then and you're talking with your friends and all that, you're going to be upsetting the whole thing, Mm-hmm. So as I said, when we went on there, like, there was no such thing as dyslexia. There was no such thing. I told you, you had the 3 categories.
Mm-hmm.
And
simpler days, Dave.
Simpler days, yeah,
simpler
exactly.
Days.
Exactly, yeah. So, like, by the time I got to 6th class, like, I didn't want to go to school.
What's 6th class?
That's when you finish primary school. So that was when I was 12 going on 13, right, before you start secondary school.
There was a big fucking moment brewing.
Yeah.
Like a Jetta was about to land
the Jetta
on
landed
a young lad's lap.
That landed the year before.
I'm telling you, there was a big moment. Had it been?
It had been.
I believe it was written in the stars.
Yeah, but see,
if you made 1,300 quid in 5th class,
yeah,
game over for academia.
Yeah,
game over.
It was finished.
You found your spot.
I found
this is the spot.
But see, as I said, when I had all the cars going like that, and I always had interest in cars, I always had to set like a goal for myself, right? That's what I always said. I'd say, right, like I said, I'd buy 1 car, so I'm going to buy 10 cars now. So when I buy one, I'd keep a little bit of profit, buy 2 cars, and I built it up like that. Mm-hmm. But school, they were doing like, they'd be doing hurling. They'd be doing, like, hurling is an Irish game. They'd be doing games.
I've seen that.
Yeah, they'd be doing all that, right?
That's some game.
And they bring people out. But the moral of the story is, I had no interest. The only thing I had interest in doing was making money.
So you just didn't, you weren't applying yourself even at the things that you could.
I'd do whatever they were doing and all that, but I had never had the interest in it, that I never had the love for it. Do you get me? Like, where all these people on a Saturday, they'd be going off training. I didn't want to go train. I want to go with my dad. I want to see what he's doing. I want to learn the skill that he taught me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to go and see that. And my grandmother, she's my father's mom. Like, she's like a mother to me. Like, she's probably more of a mom to me than my own mom, because she, like, as I said, from when we were a small age, we're always there. Me and my sister are really, really close to her, and I just wanted to go up and see her as well, and like, as I said, my friends, this is no bullshit, my friends is reading these books called Goosebumps. Did you ever see them? Goosebumps, right? So in 2nd class, we would have been about nearly 8. My friends were all getting these books and reading them. I couldn't fucking read it. So on a Saturday, I'd come up, my grandmother would buy a litre of orange juice for me, right? She'd have it there. And before I do any work with my dad, I'd go into my granny and she'd read the book for me. So that when I go in on the Friday, I'd be able to, when I go in back on the Monday.
What were you interested in the book?
I liked the book. Because my friends were telling me about them, but I wasn't able to, I couldn't put the story together. I could look at it after a page, that'd be me. I wouldn't be able to read any more of it. Like, I just wouldn't be able, I wouldn't have the interest, what they call the span, what they call it?
Attention span.
Yeah, I wouldn't have it to be zoned in it. So what I used to do is, my dad would stop in Galway on the Saturday morning. That time was Shop Street, you could drive down it. I'd run into Easton's, get a book, come out, and I'd go into my grandmother, she's 92 now, and she would read the book to me. And I'd listen to her reading the book. I'd be drinking orange juice, I'd be sitting on the chair listening to her. When she'd finished reading that book, out to the garage, and I'd be there with my dad, and it could be 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night on a Saturday night before we'd leave there. Like, that was me. Do you get me? Like, so these people going off on Saturday doing their hurling training. Me and my dad were walking down the motorway, the M50 in Dublin, heading to the auction. That's where I wanted to be. Like, do you get me? I knew I didn't want to be where they were. Do you get me? So when I was 13 and we finished school, right? Like, even the school teacher when I was in 6th class, he was asking me, any cars and all this, like, asking me. I was only 12, 13 at the time, right? But that summer, my uncle Bernard and Martin were home from England. And they're out with the garage.
This is the guys that have got the garage in London.
Yeah, they're a planter, they're diggers, like, so they're doing repairs. My uncle Bernard at the time, he was just after starting his own business. And my uncle Martin, he'd been going for years before this, like. So they said, why don't you come over for a couple of weeks?
What age are you?
13.
13.
Right? Not even, maybe 12. Yeah, 12, 13 going on that. So it was 0-0. So I was, whatever, I think 12 going on 13.
When were you born?
87. The end of
say
87.
13.
Yeah, right?
12, 13.
Yeah, so...
Depend what time in 0-0.
That was June. I was born in November 87, so I was 12.
You were 12.
So this was the first time now that I would left my old boy, like, because as I said, I would, anywhere he'd went, I was with him. So for me, this was a big, big step.
Yep.
So my uncle said, why don't you with us for 2 weeks over to London? And I said, you know what, fuck it, I'll go. So I remember we went to Shannon, I went over with my uncle, and I was sitting in the back of the car with my other uncle Bernard. And I remember him saying, do you like steak and kidney pie? And I said, why? He said, I know a right good place. When you're with me now the next day, I'll bring you down there. So that week then, that was we landed on a Friday. So on the Monday, me and my uncle, Martin, we head down London. Like, and I'm in the van with him. I've been to London loads of times with my father, but this was the first time I was on my own. I was with my uncle. You know, I was with my uncle. I love him to bits. And I was with him, and we're driving down to London. And I said, where are we going? He said, we're going to a place called Holborn. So we land down, and it's the first time I've ever experienced anything like this. We land down in Holborn, and I'm looking out the window of this place, man, and I'm just like, fuck me.
What was it like?
Syringes all over the place, shit all over the place, and I'm like, where the fuck are we? And this is the first time I've ever seen anything like this. I was just, blindside. I never experienced anything like in my life, like. And going there with my uncle and seeing that there's actually people out there that are sleeping. Like, I knew the word homeless, but I never seen a homeless person. Like, you'd be walking down the street and you'd see someone being homeless, like, and my uncle, like, he'd always throw them a couple of coins, always do that, like, but it was just, it opened my mind, like. And getting up every morning at 5:30, every morning up at 5:30, we'd be on the road, and I'd be out with him every evening, and we were like literally working every day, right? But it came to the Friday night, okay? So we drive down, we park him behind this pub, they called the Swallow in Hillingdon, London, and my uncle used to go there, he still goes there. And I said to my uncle, where are we going now? Because for me, my father never drank. My mother never really drank. My grandmother never drank. So for me, I would never have been going to a pub. Do you know what I mean? My father would never ever go to a pub. If there was a funeral, you might go there. But you never be going to a pub. So I pulled up at the back of this, and for me, I was looking around, where's the digger? Where are we going fixing, or what are we going doing? I said to my uncle, I said, where are we going? He said, we're going up there now. And I said, why? He said, to unwind. I was like, what the fuck is unwinding? He said, we're going hard all week. We'll go in here now. We'll have a couple of drinks. But for me, I was only getting like my waddy or a Coke or whatever. But I'll never forget, we were there, and it was getting late that night. It was maybe about 11 o'clock. And the man that was running the pub, he was from Northern Ireland. So he seen me floating around. I should have been gone over there by 9 o'clock, like. And he turns around to my uncle. He said, who's your man? He said, that's my nephew. He said, have you his passport? He said, I have. And my uncle pulled out a £20 note and he showed it to me. He said, I like his picture. And that was it. He never asked again. Never asked again. And I done the two. I was with him then for that week, and then I went the following week with my uncle Bernard. And I didn't want to leave it. So I flew back to Ireland. I was back in Ireland for a couple of weeks, and I asked my dad, will you book me to go back? I want to go over for a month. So I went over for a month.
Is it the school holidays? Or
school holidays, yeah. So in Ireland, see, it's not like the UK. So in Ireland, you'd be getting about 2.5 months holidays from national school. You get 3 months holiday from secondary school. So I wanted to go again. So landed anyways, got back to Ireland, was there for about maybe not even 2 weeks. And my dad booked me a ticket for a month. So I fly out on my own. I flew back on my own. They bring you down, when you're underage, to bring you to the place. But the same thing in Ireland, brought me over. My aunt is waiting for me. Get with her, and I'm going around with my uncle again. So we're going all around London, dropping off diggers, doing all this, going out doing repairs, swapping between everyone. But when it came to the end, I did not want to go. I said to my uncle, I do not want to go back to Ireland. I want to stay here with you at the diggers, at the thing. I had no interest in going to school.
Do you mean that you wanted to stay in London, or did you just not want to go back to school?
It's hard to know. I think I just wanted to stay in London that time.
Do you think it was both?
Yeah, I liked it in London and I didn't like school.
What did you like about London?
Just seeing so many different things. As I said, like, it was such an eye-opener for me, like, where, as I said, you have all my friends that are back in Ireland, right? They're going to their hurling training and football training on a Tuesday. They're going playing matches on a Sunday. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was different. For me, at home, like, it was always about work, like. Like, my mother my mother would work. She'd get up in the morning, she'd be gone before us, we go to school. She'd work all that day, and at night she used to do these things called the wires, where they used to get wires, and me and my sister would be sitting there, and we'd be unravelling the wire. We'd hand it to my mom, she'd put an end on it, clamp it, because my sister used to do my sister did Irish dancing, and she was doing this to get...
So what was the wires for?
They were like phone wires. I don't even know what they're for. Internet phone wires. I remember me and my sister was there watching television. We were just like this, reeling the wire, hand to my mom, clamp. She put on a connection on it. And she used to do these, and then she'd drop them to a place, and they'd pay her for doing the whole box of wires. Like, my sisters used to Irish dancing, so my mom would get the extra bit of cash from this to cover the price of the dancing dresses, the fishes, and all this. So for me, I was always around people that were doing something. I was never around anyone that was doing nothing. You were always doing something in my house, you know? And you always seen people that were doing something, so it was just the way I was.
Good environment.
Yeah, so even when I went to London, like, even my uncle would be getting up at 5:30. He said, I'll leave it. He said, I'll pick you up later on the day. No, I wasn't good enough. I'd have to be going with him at 5:30. That's it. As I said, like, I was blessed, like, that I was around with all these and seeing all different things, because my uncle John is a mobile mechanic, and he was doing all the repairs, so I got to do that with him. Martin is a plant hire business, like, buying machinery, hiring it out, doing repairs, you know, so I got to see so much. And even my uncle Bernard was doing all small plant, you know, the mini diggers, the skip dumpers, all that. So it was just absolutely, for me, it was an excitement every day. Every day was an adventure, because you didn't know where you were going. Tower Bridge, the Woolwich Ferry, all these things that we'd done. Like, I would have never seen it if I stayed in Ireland, you know?
It's wild to think that, like, a young kid that's at school, imagine that your life is fairly lonely if your mum's out all the time. So it looks like you're hanging around with your dad and your gran, because you're like, there's nothing else there. Yeah. But you're getting that time to, you're picking up something, you're getting involved, you feel involved, you know, with your dad and helping him, going and getting these cars, you know, going to the auctions. School isn't working out because you're sort of just being shunned off, like, just don't be a nuisance. Yeah. And so the only place that you have is really this cars, mechanical environment that's with your dad. Your mum's out all the time working, but your dad's sort of doing the graft. And that probably, you feel like you're part of something, you feel like you're involved. And then you get this situation with the Jetta landing on your plate, you get a real buzz for this. You feel like, imagine a sense of achievement where you've done something to this car, it's been sold, and you've got a huge result that you've not had in school. You can't even do the spelling test. Yeah. And you've been tossed away to the side, and then you have this situation where you actually feel like you're worthwhile. You've got some worth with this thing that you're doing. And then literally within a year, like, you've went from this place out on the coast in Ireland, fairly quiet, speak Gaelic as a primary language through school, fairly sheltered, to the absolute wildness of London. Yeah. Syringes, homeless people, boozers, the wheeling and dealing, the hustling. It's like, I can't imagine what that would have been like as a young guy. Yeah. Like a young boy, like, because you're just turned into a teenager. Yeah. You're literally at the start of your teenage years. Can you imagine what that was like for you? Yeah. You imagine just that whole, is this the same world? Yeah, it's like but sure, it was a completely different world. Like, because when you think of Ireland, you didn't have anything like that. Like, we're in London, it never stops. Jimmy, it never ever stops. Constantly going. In Ireland, it's quiet and all the rest. Like, but for me, as I said, every day was an adventure. Like, my uncles would bring me out. Every day we'd be going somewhere else. You'd never be going the same place twice. You'd be always going somewhere. Well, you're saying there the guys that were doing the hurling training, and you weren't around anybody that stood still. So you probably always wanted to keep busy, and you were looking for things to do. Getting your granny to read you the book. You're going out with your dad to 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. You're walking down the motorway so that you can get to the auction house to drive a car back, to get working on it. Got this thrill of selling cars. If I can get this one sold, I might be able to buy two. Just this constant thrill of being active and involved and getting a result, and something you're doing is worthwhile. Then you get to this place that is non-stop. There is literally no end of things to do. No end. Like, there's no off button in London. No. There's none. Nothing. Like, anyone that's been in London will know. Like, this perpetually is in motion, this place. Yeah. It never stops. It's like the world on fast forward. Everything's speeded up. And then you're there at what were you, 13, 14? 12. 12 when I went over for first, yeah.
Yeah, 12 going on 13. I left when school finished. When school finished, my uncles were over. It was just perfect timing. Do you get me? Because they were there as I finished, and I was off for the summer. So that's when, as I said, my uncle Martin Byrne said, "Sure, why don't you come back with us for a couple of weeks?" But like, I thought, for me, it was the fear, because I said, like, if you want to call it fear, like for me, it was like first time I was actually leaving my dad. First time I was ever going anywhere.
Was that a big factor?
Massive.
Was it?
Yeah, because
how did you feel?
Sure, I remember sitting, like I can remember cars, I can remember things like that. Like I remember sitting in the back of a green 99, see a Toledo, leaving Heathrow Airport, and I was looking out the fucking window, I was like, Jesus Christ, what the hell am I after doing? Coming over here without him. You know what I mean? Because I was so used to any other time that we came, I was always with him. We were over getting a car or whatnot. I was always with him. It was the first time I was without anybody. Like without my mom, without my dad, without my sisters, without anyone. It was just me and my uncles and my cousins over there. So it was a massive. Can
you imagine what your life would have been like if you didn't take that step?
I know. Yeah.
It's the moments where you need to step into that.
Yeah.
You probably felt really awkward.
Yeah.
But you leaned into it.
Yeah, but like it's one thing about me is, right, my word is everything and respect is everything for me, right? And when you're doing your confirmation in Ireland, you pick a third name and you do a pledge whether you're going to drink or not. You know, some people say, oh, I'm not going to drink till I'm 18, you know, do a pledge. But for me, and I see my granny never drank in her life, my father wasn't drinking, so I done a pledge for life. Do you get me? Like, so drinking or any of that wasn't a thing that I wasn't interested in any of that. For me, it was, as I said, going to London, getting these experiences, you know.
So what was it like in your London for that month? What happened at the end of the month?
Sure, it was at the end of the month, it was time to come back for school. My mom was ringing my uncle to send me back. My dad was ringing my uncle to send him back. And I was telling my uncle, I don't want to go back. I want to stay. I wanted to stay in Hillingdon. I did not want to go back to Ireland. I wanted to stay working. That was the thing. It wasn't about going back to school. It wasn't about going back to Ireland. It was about staying working, you know. So no choice, had to go back. Went back, started secondary school. Once Christmas came, the minute we got the holidays, next day, I'm gone, over to London. Over with my uncle, work with my uncle all that winter. Back over again, didn't want to go. Do you get me?
Were they keen to have you over?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my uncle loved me like I was his own son. You know, all of them, like I still, to today, like I can still ring any of them and have a chat with them. Do you get me? Like it's not like some people get distance to them. Like I can actually ring them up and have a chat. Even my mother's brothers, I can ring them all up, have a chat. My aunts, anybody I get on brilliant with all of them. Like it's brilliant. Like, but for me, like even my cousins, see, their parents are Irish, but they're born in England, so they're still Irish, but they're not the same. You get me? Because they're brought up with English culture. Like, so my cousins wouldn't have been as mad about going at the repairs and the digger work and all that, you know. But like, I was 13 at this point. I'm in London, and my uncle says, right, there's a machine going out for hire, but the starter motor is gone. And he had another one parked down that needed some repairs. He said, will you go down to out the starter motor of that? I'll take the starter motor out of this and
we'll swap.
Right? So I go down, he's at his business. I'm walking up, I have the starter in my hand, and he goes, what's the weather like in Ireland? I said, how the fuck do I know what the weather's like in Ireland? He said, geez, you were gone that long, I thought you went home. Do you know what I mean? Like, this was the
crack.
This was the crack, like, you know, this was the crack, and this is what I loved about it. It was just everything, and there was other people, Irish people in his yard as well. And I used to be going off with him then in some days. You know, if my uncle was in the yard and would say he was doing something that I couldn't help with, I'd jump in a truck and I'd go off with somebody else. And
what sort of things were you doing? Like just being a general, like hand anywhere doing anything?
We were doing everything, servicing, sanding things down, getting them ready for paint. Anything, literally any job. Cutting tyres for trucks. He had a machine. I cut the tyres. Anything that he wanted me to do. And I would try. As you know me, George, PMA man, I would just drive right in and I would try to do my best.
Were you getting paid for doing this?
He'd always...
Or was it just putting you up and you were...
No, he'd always put me up and everything like that, but he'd always give me anything. My uncle would give me anything. Like, if as I said, I often went over to buy cars later on in years and I mightn't have the money going over and I'd buy something. He'd give me the money. And he said, next time back in Ireland, give it back to me. Do you get me? Like, it wasn't a thing about the money. I didn't care about the money. It was about being there with them.
Yeah, you wanted to... It was closer to what felt right.
Yeah.
You felt right there.
I felt right there. I felt at home. It was absolutely brilliant, you know? So, like...
So you're up to Christmas. You're in Christmas. You go over, right? The holidays have hit. You're back in at the grind. You swapped out the starter motor. You're up there. He's giving you the shot across your bow.
Yeah.
You've took your fucking sweet time, boy.
Yeah.
Like, we want it a wee bit quicker. This is London here. You're not back in Galway fucking speed. We need London speed.
Yeah.
What happened? How long were you there?
So I was there then for the 2 weeks, the holidays. After I was there for New Year's and everything. Then back to Ireland for school. So then the next summer was coming, and I knew where I wanted to be the whole summer. So I just booked it, flew out. I stayed with my dad for a couple of weeks, and I flew out, and I just stayed in London.
How's your dad feel at this point? Is he happy to get shot of you, or is he like?
I don't know,
did he feel like you do?
I wasn't. I suppose it's hard to need more time for himself because I wouldn't be stuck with him all the time. Like give him thing. But for me, the adventure was over there. And like this now, I knew the lie of the land. I knew, we'll say, if I was going down on the weekend to get a pizza or get a bag of chips, or I was going to the Swallow with my uncle, or going somewhere else with my other uncles, I could, I knew where to go. I knew the lie of the land. So this time then I went over, I would have been going on, I've been going on 13, 14. So I done a month with my Uncle Martin, I done a month with my Uncle Bernard, and I done a month with my Uncle John. So it was 3 months I was over there. But I remember the first month, I was there about a week, and my uncle had hired a machine to a lad that was at the back of his school. So he said, you go in there and get the machine, and I let down the ramps. And so by the time the ramps are down, team effort, we'll have the digger up and we'll be gone. So next, I see this woman coming out along. I was behind the school, and I see this woman coming out, and she goes over to my uncle. And my uncle, anyways, I don't know what he said to her. It wouldn't have been nice, anyways. But I put up the thing, and I said to my uncle, I said, what was the story with her? He said, she came out telling me about child slave labour and all this, and I'm trying to explain to her that in Ireland you get more holidays and you're over here on holidays. But she's saying that, it's child labour, me driving the machine, coming up along, put up on the back of the truck for my uncle,
She lost her fucking mind. So you're 13 going on 14, you're driving a digger up a ramp. Have you lost your mind, women? This is as manly and as boyish as it gets. I'm driving a piece of heavy machinery up a ramp.
Yeah.
There's no greater thrill as a boy.
Yeah, I know.
What are you talking? Slavery?
Yeah. Well,
There'd have been a queue a mile long for boys to get a shot at that.
But see, because the holidays are different in the UK and probably the same in Scotland here, or England and Scotland, the kids are still inside, so they're looking out the window at me, and I'm there and I'm driving the digger out, put up on the back of the truck. But as I said, these were the things that attracted me to being there, because everything was different. So then, as I get to my second month, I'm with my Uncle John at this point, right? And I'm going around with him, staying with my Uncle Martin then some weekends, so I decide, I want to get a car. So when I buy a car, I'm in London.
Oh, here we go.
13 or 14.
Here we go.
So I go on to it wasn't a car to sell, it was a car to drive.
Of course.
So I wanted to get around. So me and my uncle, I look on the Auto Trader and I see this Peugeot 205 for sale not far from my Uncle John's house. So because I said I know the lie of the land, I know the routes, I am familiar with how to get from one house to the other.
And have you been driving in London at this point? Have you been...
My uncle's van.
Then a wee bit of sneaky driving around, right?
My
Okay.
uncle's van, right? So my Uncle John brings me down to these Pakistani lads, and they have this 205. So I buy the 205 for like £200 or £250. So my Uncle John goes home to his house, and I drive back to my Uncle Martin's house. Driving through London, nearly 14, in this red 205, think I'm king of the castle. Do you know what I mean?
Top boy.
Driving around. So drive down to my uncle's house, and I pull at the backyard, and I come in, and my uncle's wife's from Kerry, she's from Ireland as well. She looks out and says, what the fuck are you at? She said, driving a car around London. If they got steak, they're going to come in to Martin. And Martin said, he'll be all right. He's not going far. He's only going up to the yard. The yard was a good 15-minute drive, a serious roundabout. So the section of motorway you had to go on to.
Some good PMA there for Uncle Martin.
Right? So my Uncle Martin, I drive up there in the morning. I drive up behind him in the car. Made no sense what I was doing, but just to be driving. So he'd drive the van, I'd follow him up into the yard, go off him today, and he might leave me there, and I'd get machinery serviced or power washed and whatever he want me to do. And then I always had the car to go back. So I was getting braver and braver because I was getting more and more routes. So one night I decided, John, I'm going to go for a drive. So I head off, driving a clue where I'm going. Drive around and I'm lost. This is 2002. This is about 2002. No sat nav, no nothing. No mobile. I had a mobile that I couldn't ring anyone on because it was an Irish phone. And I see a bus. And I see Uxbridge on the front of the bus. And I was like, right, I know where Uxbridge is, and I know roughly how to get to Uxbridge from my uncle's house. So whatever, I followed that bus the whole way from wherever I was in London, near the middle of London, all the way back to Uxbridge.
So you could find your way home.
Every bus stop he stopped at, I was
You're in behind
him in this 205, like, at that age, you know. It was just crazy, like. It was crazy what I done, like.
What a buzz, though.
A buzz.
I mean, maybe not the right side of the legalities, but some buzz.
Unreal. Like I said, it was just, that's why I just loved it so much. I suppose you could say you're very free doing this, you know. But like at the same time, when all this was going on, I always had things in my head that I wanted to do. So like,
what sort of things were you thinking?
So like when I was 17, I said the day I turned 17, it's illegal. It's legally you can drive in Ireland the day you turn. You know, you're 17. I said the day I turn 17, I'm going to have a brand new Ford Focus, all kitted out, everything on it, and I'll be on the road that morning.
Yeah.
Once the insurance opens up, right? So
how were you passing the test?
See, it was a provisional license. I was driving a provisional, no full, right? So you could do your license when you're 16 for a tractor or a moped, and then when you're 17, you can just just add a car onto the license. So there's no dramas, like. So I was working towards that. So as well as buying, so as I came back from England, then as well, I still had the cars going. My dad was selling them for me while I was gone, and I told my mum and dad, look, when I have my junior cert done, which is your GCSEs here in the UK, I said I'm not going back to school. I'm finished with it. That's it. So I was 15 that time. So my mom said, look, if you try to do your best in the, in your exams, try to do your best, you can go. Mm-hmm. So it was that time I got diagnosed with, they recognised that I had dyslexia. So the Western Health Board, which is like, the Health Board Service of the West of Ireland, they came out and they assessed people that the teachers were noticing at the time the thick cunts had difficulties. And they made you do these.
So somewhere along the lines between you arriving in school and being in the thick cunt crew, they sort of went. There seems to be an uncanny level of these poor students.
Yeah,
they're not getting the hang of it. Maybe we should look into this.
Yeah,
and then by that time you've went on this wild adventure. They've came into the conclusion that they've got around to testing you and go, yeah, we think we know why you're not getting the grip of this thing in school.
Grammar. Any of the rest, spelling, nothing, full stops, not a clue.
Yeah.
Hadn't a clue about it, like. Mm. And some of the teachers were getting, especially coming to the exam years, right? They were getting very frustrated with me because they reckon I was holding the class back. And all this, because I'd be asking more questions. Obviously, I'm not picking it up at the same speed as everyone else.
So you're inquiring more. I'm
inquiring more, yeah.
Slowing it down for them.
Of course I will. Look, that's what they thought. But anyways, one of the teachers, and I'll never forget this woman, and I'm telling you, one of the worst people I've ever met in my life, this woman. She was a school teacher. They are teaching history and geography. And
feel free to name and shame her.
It's Inni Varsely would be her name in Irish, Mrs. Varsely. I don't actually know who she's married to now, right? This woman was the worst person I've ever met in my life. I came up with my work, right? And as I told you, I'm having these difficulties learning whatever, and I bring up a picture of Ireland. So I draw Ireland out on a page, and I mark in the lakes. That was a part of the homework. So I give it up to her, and she goes to me. She looks at it, she says, what's this? And I said, that's the homework. She said, a 2-year-old would draw a better picture than this. She said, I'm not taking this shit. This is a disgrace. And like, this is the...
What age are you?
14. I would have been 15 that time. It was just before I finished, so this is the last bit. But like, she's telling me that the work I'm after giving her is a disgrace, and that a 2-year-old, you don't speak to anybody like that, especially someone that's meant to be in a professional side of things. That's not what you do. So I had her that morning for the history, and the next subject I had was geography. So before geography even started, she gets me, she brings me up to another room, and she locks me in the room. Okay? This is about 1:30 in the day. So I'm locked in this fucking room. No emergency exits, no nothing. Windows with only a small bit like this, there's no fire escapes anywhere. And I'm locked in this fucking room. So I'm waiting there. I'm waiting for someone to open the door to let me out. So it's coming closer to 4 o'clock and we have to get a bus home. So I'm at this point now, I'm banging on the windows for someone to get their attention. And this person sees me and said, open the door, I'm locked inside. So literally as they open the door, I don't even have time to talk to them and say why I'm there. I'm running for my fucking bus to get home. Because this teacher obviously she doesn't care about me or anyone else, like, right? Mm. So I'm running for my bus, I get on the bus, and that's fine. When I get home that day, I tell my dad what happened. I said, they locked me in a fucking room. I'm there all day. Like, no access to go to a bathroom, nothing. I'm stuck in this room, can't get out, and told him about things. So when my dad came in, we go into the principal and all that in the middle of school, and the vice principal is there. Mr. Higgins, and straight away starts getting aggressive towards my dad. Like, I mean, no aggressive, like where he hit the table. And my dad said, "Whoa," he said, "that might work with someone else, but it's not going to work with me." And my dad more or less gave it to him and said, "Look, you don't talk to me like that. You don't talk to him like that." They want to suspend me for banging on the windows when I was trapped in the room. So my dad said, "That's not going to work." He said, "You're not going to suspend him for anything." He said, "You're one, locked him in a room." So from that point on, then, that teacher kind of just ignored me. She didn't ask me a word. She never talked to me after that. That was it. But the science teacher, which was one of the nicest people you could meet, the opposite side of this woman, and she said, "Look, Dave," she said, "you're holding the class back." She said, "I know you're interested in the science and all that, because obviously it's something I'd be interested in." But she said, "I'm going to let you go into any room you want." She said, "Bring your book and try your best." She said, "But I can't keep you here because you keep asking me questions and you keep holding the class back." So at that point then, that was it. So I had no history teacher, no geography teacher, no science teacher. My Irish teacher was telling me, so you could do honours or pass. I don't do the same that over here, you know. So honours is like a bit harder and pass is obviously a bit easier, you know. And my Irish teacher was telling me, "Oh, do pass because pass is easy. Pass will suit you better." And I'm like, "Why are you telling me to do pass? If I want to do pass, I'll do pass. If I want to do honours, I'll do honours. It's entirely up to myself. You know, I can make up my own mind." But this was the mindset that they had. They were just trying to
pigeonhole you.
Yeah, trying to more or less tell you that in a nice manner, you're no good. You're not going to be anything. All the rest.
Call me a thick cunt without calling me a thick cunt.
In a nice manner, right?
In the nicest possible
way. In the
way.
nicest possible way, calling me a thick cunt. So, it was me and my friends, as I said.
I'd like to take this opportunity to apologise to absolutely no one if you're offended with this language.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologise.
Well, he might be sorry. I'm not sorry in the slightest.
So, we were all, like, anyone that just didn't perform to their tune. Yeah. They weren't happy. They weren't happy to, you know, compromise and help other people that were falling behind or whatever like this. You know, they just had no interest. So for me, being at school was absolutely pointless. I had no interest in being there. But one thing about it is, and I will always say this, because I'm a man of my word, I still went to school every day. I never mitched. I never just, you know... Mitched. Like where...
dogging it.
Didn't bother going to school. Jumped the wall.
We call that dogging it.
Is it? Yeah.
Dogging school.
Mitched it, they say in Ireland.
Mitched.
So, mitched school, like, so you didn't bother going. Like.
Right. That's a new one, I didn't know that.
I still went to school every day, even though there was no point in me being there. They didn't want to teach me.
Yep.
Didn't want to fucking teach me anything. They just ignored me. So... I done my exams and I failed geography.
Surprise.
Big surprise, right? I passed history because I had an interest in that myself, right? And obviously no Google, no nothing like that at the time, you know, it's just, I liked the subject and I was just reading the book myself. I passed everything, I failed geography.
Did you get up to the point where you're actually reading the books?
But see,
were you just getting by?
Just getting by.
Right.
Like, just getting by. Like,
and did you notice your attention span, was it improving? Were you getting little bits?
Very little. I'd have to see if I had an interest in something. If I had an interest in something, I'd no problem in doing it. But as I said, my reading, there'd be words I just physically wouldn't know what they say. Even though I could hear them a million times, I look at it, I can see the words, I can see the letters, I do not know what they mean. I cannot read it. I try, fail. Like, and that was a big thing in the school, like, you know, where they'd have you reading and then they'd say, "George, read the next 3 paragraphs." And they go to me. Sure. I couldn't, with pressure on you and not knowing what's going on, I might get 2 words and that'd be it. And I'd say, "Look, sorry, I can't do it." And then the teacher was like, "Oh, I expected the same." This kind of negative attitude, like.
Not PMA.
Yeah, not PMA what I had.
Not PMA.
I want to get the focus on the road when I'm 17, right?
Focus on the road, back to London, wheeling and dealing, kiss stealing.
That's it.
Big city, bright lights, diggers, starter motors, heading to the Black Swan. To, you know, help your uncle unwind, hoping that there's a call-in comes in. You know, following the bus back to Uxbridge so I can find my way home. My red 205.
Automatic?
Is it automatic?
It's automatic.
Well, it needed to be with all the bus stops. You probably didn't want a clutch.
Yeah.
It's worked out well.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there thinking, there's not enough PMA in here. There's not enough PMA in here. And I thought my picture of Ireland with the lakes in it was quite good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's nothing wrong with it. They were all there.
They were all there.
It might be pretty, but it was in it.
It was everything that needed to be there was there.
Everything that they wanted was there.
So school, what happens then when you leave school?
So as I said, my mom said, "Look, you can leave once you get your exams done." got my results for the exams. I'm still 15, so you're technically not allowed to leave school. You're 16, but I left anyways.
Yep.
And my dad, were in one day buying a car in the main Opel dealer, the Vauxhall dealer here in the UK. And my dad said to him, would you give him an apprenticeship? You know, training. Because my dad said, it's better for you to go in here. At least you learn the computers and, you know, I'm learning from my dad. I'm learning from different people in here. There's 8 mechanics in it. You know, you're going to get more experience, like. And your man said, yeah. He said, what age is he? And dad said he won't be 16 until November. So he said, look, he said, I'll give him an apprenticeship, no problem, but he has to come back closer to the time. Right? So I've these few months now, like, where September to November, where I can't do it.
You hear London shouting on you, Dave.
I didn't first.
Dave.
I went working for, I got a job with these plasters, right? My friend was working for one of them, and I got a job on these plasters, and I was getting €60 a day, right? So my mom would drop me to Spiddle, the closest town, at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd get in the back of a van, no seats, no nothing, in the back of the van.
You were just in the back beside
all
the tools.
All the tools, in there, no daylight, and I'd go from there to...
So there's no windows in the back?
Nothing. Zero, right?
Bulkhead between the seats?
Bulkhead. I'm in darkness, right? And I sit in the back of that until we'd get to Bohola and Mayo. It's probably take about 2 hours. So we leave at 6, we get there at 8. I'm out then, and you're in the thing, and I was working for... There was 3 plasters, the 3 of them were in the front. So I was a labourer on the 3 plasters. So I'd done that for nearly about a month and a half. And, like, they dropped me back in the evening, so we'd leave there at 6, I wouldn't get back till 8:30. And I'd have to hitch sometimes my mom could pick me up, and sometimes I'd just be outside the road, thumb a lift, or maybe see someone I know, or maybe have to walk a good bit before I even get home. That was it, like. So I wanted to go to London before I went to start my apprenticeship, because I knew I wouldn't have that free time like I had. So I went over there, done a month and a half in it.
In London? In
London, yeah. Again with my uncles, and then I come back and I start my apprenticeship 3 days before I turn 16. So I'm working in this Opel garage. Now I'm there with lads from all ages. Like, I'm with the youngest that was there at the time was probably about 25. I was 16. And the oldest at that time, he was in his 60s. So you have all these people with all different backgrounds and all different information, and they're all teaching you. Do you get me? Like, but I'm after taking a massive pay cut, because when I was with the plasters, I was getting 300 a week. And when I started my apprenticeship, I was getting 155 a week. So I was half of my wages. So, like that, get a lift in the mornings, do my work, head out, then get a lift out near the garage, and I'd be working on my own cars in at night, come home with my dad 11, 12 o'clock, up in the morning again, and this to repeat. So I was saving my money, selling cars, buying cars that I was getting opportunity of inside in the Opel dealership, and I was getting closer and closer to my goal. So
the Ford Focus.
Ford Focus.
17,
brand new, 2004, right? So I'm coming out, so that's November. So
nice looking car back in the day.
Beautiful car, 3-door, right?
Oh, nice.
So July 2004, my dad's friend, he's up in Northern Ireland, he used to sell a lot of salvage cars. But this Focus had 80 miles on it, where what happened originally was when they were taking off the truck, your man missed the ramp and the car went down and hit the front of the car, so they couldn't sell it as a brand new car. So he used it kind of as a demo. There was only 80 miles in it, and I bought it. So I got it in July, so it gave me time to get my lower suspension, get my body kit, get everything on it. Do you get me? But that was me working.
Ride or die.
That was me working, ride or die.
Ride or die.
Ride or die, yeah, right? That was me getting towards my goal at 17. I want to...
But Dave, how fucking magical, right? Just stop and take stock of this at the moment.
Yeah.
Right. What's the overwhelming thing here? A goal.
Yeah.
Dream big.
Yeah.
Do what it takes to get there.
Yeah. Whatever it took.
Magic.
Magic, right?
You want to know the secret to magic?
Yeah.
Set a massive goal that you'll be really proud of.
Yeah.
Have a really good attitude towards getting to it. Take every step. Find a way.
Yeah.
Watch the magic happen.
So the day I turned 17, the Focus is ready. My dad changed over the reg for me, and I get my license done that morning. And at 9:30, I'm insured.
Boom.
So at this point, I'm at training, you know, like where you're...
You didn't go and fucking write it off, did you?
No, did I? No. We were...
By this time, I mean, you must be the most experienced 17-year-old driver on the road. You've drove in London, you've drove tractors, you've drove diggers, you've been called out for child slavery. You're following buses in Uxbridge. You've had an automatic Peugeot 205.
Yeah.
You're driving all these cars in the dealership.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you must be the most experienced.
Yeah. So, but it was, I was counting the days. Do you know what I mean? I was counting the days down to the time. Everyone in Foss knew I'm not coming to school this Friday because I'm going to be 17 that morning. I'll have my car insured. And the first place I went was in and showed all my friends the car that I was, as I said, working towards for how many years, you know? There was obviously a bit of jealousy there, I'd say, among some people to see that I'm not talking shit. As you said, talk is cheap.
Talk's cheap.
Do you get me, right? So I get this. I go out and collect my first cousin. He's in Australia now. Great friend of mine. And me and him spend the day, and I mean the day. We were going around. I collected deck at around, it must have been, I'd say definitely collected them by 1 o'clock that day. I would say I went out to the garage, you know, obviously drive out to the garage. First time I could legally drive out there. Showed my grandmother the car, straight back Connemara, get my cousin, and we didn't come home that night till about 5 in the morning. My dad's ringing me wondering, where the fuck are you? Like, you know, why aren't
Just
you here?
the freedom.
Yeah. Freedom, girls and driving around and doing everything that lads want to be doing, you know? Yeah. It was brilliant, like. But not long after I got the car, and I was telling people this, they said, oh, geez, why did you buy the car? And I said, look, this is what I wanted to buy. I said, when I turned 17, I'd be driving the day I turned 17, which I was. I said, I'm going to have a blue, brand new Ford Focus with a full body kit, everything on it, and I'd done all this. And they said, well, what's your next goal? I said, by the time I turn 30, I'm going to have, with the help of God, I said, I'll have 10 houses, and I'll have money in the bank. And lads were like, oh, yeah, Jesus, good luck with that, more or less, right? And that's when it started. So, like I said, I'm still doing my apprenticeship, I'm still doing my training, I'm in and out of that, right? But then, in 2006, I'm in the Opel dealership. I'm after coming back from my second term of training. And we used to have to put the cars in every night because people were breaking into the yard and they were robbing parts off them. So every night we'd put in all the good cars into the show. It was like the workshop.
Into the building, yeah.
Yeah, the workshop, right? But the keys were in a bucket. So they were in the press. I was down there rooting through the keys trying to find a key. And the service manager that came there and hit me straight into the back of the head. Never said a word to him, never said anything, hit me in the back of the head. And I said, like, fuck. I said, what the fuck you have to hit me for? Like, you have to hit me in the head for no reason. And he's like, oh, fuck you. If you want to fight, come out and I'll fight you. And I was like, I don't want to fight you. Like, I said, what's your problem? So I walked down to the owner. And like at this point, like you think my dad's been buying cars, this man, for years. I've been buying cars of when I'm working for him, making him money. And I said to him, your man's after hit me up there. And he said, what do you want me to do about it? He said, I said, you can go up and fucking tell him to fucking say sorry or whatever. Your man said, look, it's like this. If you're not happy, you can go. I said, that's fair enough. That's grand. And karma is bad. I was servicing a car that night before I left, and I'd left the oil draining, so it'd be out. They never put the oil back into it when they start up the fucked engine in the car. So that was more or less my boss. A customer's car had to put an engine in it over his, you know, him trying to be smart. Mm-hmm. So I left that point. I rang my dad, went out the road, and I said, Dad, told him the crack, and he said, sure, look at it. He said, go to the garage and, you know, you'll get going, because he had an apprentice at the time. He was in doing his training. So I'm working for my dad, and then when Martin came back, my dad's apprentice came back, I could see it was hard on my dad, because obviously I had my sisters, they were young, the twins. Sienna was going to college, that's my sister's a year younger than me. And I said to Dad, you know what? I said, I'm going to do my own thing. I said, at least if I don't make money, it doesn't affect you. And if you don't make money, it doesn't affect me. Do you get me? So that's the way I went. So from 19 on, then that was it. I was just completely on my own. Right? So that was when I bought my first house in the 27th of June 2007. So I was 19. And the house...
What was the date?
The 27th of June.
Yes.
2007, right?
Okay.
bought this house. It was in Oramore. It's actually the house I'm living in right now. And I bought that house. And like we're talking about the paper and furniture and everything like that, my dad, my mom, I think it was my mom that seen the advertisement on the paper where someone wanted to get rid of...
the paper?
They wanted to get rid of their furniture.
Right.
So my dad goes down, loads up all the furniture, puts it into the house for me. Like, they helped me get the mortgage set up, like, you know, because obviously I'm 19. Who's going to give a mortgage to a person that age? I had the deposit myself saved up, gave the deposit. My mom and dad helped me out, remortgaged their house, to be honest about it, to get this sorted. And
how much was the house?
336,000. Right? 336,000.
I'm thinking of the date, and I'm like, I know what was going on at this point in time.
Right?
You know, you know how you've got a good memory,
Yeah.
but I've literally a internal timeline of events. And when you said that day, I'm like, this is not going to be a cheap purchase.
Yeah. So that's what it was like. It was before everything just
When meltdown.
bang. You know, like.
It's like, for anyone that doesn't know what it was like, imagine blowing up a balloon. This is the property market. And it gets bigger and bigger and everything's fine. But when this thing is at its limits, it was at that 2007, 2008 was when it was, this thing at any moment's going to go bang. And you've just went in at 19, bought your first house, got your mum and dad to remortgage the house. They've sorted out the mortgage. You've saved up the deposit. I'm assuming
36,000 deposit. Yeah, 36,000 deposit, and 300,000 on the tick.
On the never.
Yeah, literally never. Right. And my mom, as I said, my mom's seen this thing. I'm nearly sure my mom's seen the advertisement. Need to get all this furniture, beds, everything. My dad goes loads them up, puts them in the house, and puts the house on the paper for rent. And by August, the house is rented. These people are moving in it.
Oh, so you're buying the house to rent it out?
Rent it out, not to live in it. To rent it out. So literally, it was to cover itself. But as you were saying then, like, so these people moved in, they were from Czech Republic. The guy that moved in, we'll say just like a quick one, like the guy that moved in 2007, he was there until the end of 2020.
Wow.
And another lad that moved in was there from 2010 up until 22. So they were there a long time, like these guys.
Did you split the house or did they share it?
They were all renting rooms.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so then, as you said, the boom happened, and then like it just collapsed, and everything.
The bust after the boom.
Like, yeah, and everything just like was gone crazy. Like, you know, people were out of work, money wasn't as free. You know, at this point, I was living in London. I had moved to London in the kind of end of 2007. So I wanted to give it a go after I'd finished my apprenticeship. I said I'd go over there to get a bit more life experience, living on my own completely, not living with family, not living with anything. I was living on my own, going to the auctions in London, buying cars. My dad was flying over, collecting them, bringing them back, selling them, sending me back the money. You know,
hustling
hard. No, hustling hard. I'll never forget the day my uncle asked me to go and give him a hand at a job. Like, he was paying me to do this job, and we're working out in Reading in London, right? This would have been September 2007. And I remember we're driving in the motorway, heading back in for central London, we'll say. And I looked up and I seen the sign London, and I said, fuck me, and I live in the dream. I was, 19, I'm living in London, I'm on my own, and I'm making fucking money. Most importantly, I was making, like, compared to the money I was making at home, fixing things, I was making big money fast, My uncle put me in, all my uncles put me in contact with people, and then I met other people while I was there, and, it was going well. But in England, when the credit crunch happened, it finished a lot quicker in England than it did in Ireland.
You mean the effects?
It literally, I remember, like... So
things recovered more quickly in England than in Ireland?
No, what I mean when it started. Like, so by the start of 2008, you could see that there was a slowdown, like. So me and my uncle I wouldn't be getting any calls, I'd be over at his house, and I remember being in the house watching Countdown in the middle of the day on a Tuesday, and I was like, fuck this, there's no work here, I'm going back to Ireland again. So, like, then...
So did it seem that in England it was impacted harder than it did?
Way harder. Yeah. It had the signs a lot sooner than it did in Ireland. So by the time I got back to Ireland towards kind of the middle, it was coming into the summer of 2008, things were still going okay in Ireland. Like, things were still selling. I was flying over and back to England twice a week.
You're currently heading out of the frying pan and back into the fire.
Thank you very much. Right?
I know what goes on here.
Right, so
the internal dialogue. I'm like, I know what's happening here.
Yeah, and I have a goal, like, right. Right.
That's class. I don't think I've ever done a podcast where someone we've been speaking about has literally ended up in the end of the phone. Yeah. That's a first.
Yeah, but
tell me said hello because we know who he is.
yeah, I'm going to send this to him when I get
Still got the 205.
No, that's John. That was other guy, but he remembers the 205.
I remember it. So we got up to 2007. The things were going well in Ireland.
It was end of 08, I would say. I was still going well in Ireland.
07, 08. It's really hit hard in London.
Yeah.
Phone's not ringing.
Yeah.
So you decide, right, look, I'm going to go back to Ireland. You arrive back in Ireland. Yeah. Things seem to be going well.
Yeah.
Right. Tell me what happened.
So
I know what's going to happen, but just fill in the blanks for me.
So literally, I'm flying over and back to England, bringing lads with me, bringing back cars all the time, and things are still going well. So like I told you, I'm still doing the same tactic where I'm taking a little bit of money out. I am buying two for everyone I sell. So at this point now, my stock is getting big. I'm still selling.
Is there an arbitrage opportunity here?
I don't know what it is.
Right, so an arbitrage is where if you get a difference in one market, like if you can pay less in one market and you can sell higher, the same thing in another market.
Yeah.
I'm thinking is things completely gutted out in London or England.
Yeah.
Because it's hit hard.
Yeah.
But the people in Ireland haven't got the news yet. They haven't got the memo, so they're paying top money.
Oh, they're getting top
so
money,
you're getting a bit of an arbitrage there. Where
like you were making money.
Right,
There's no point
okay.
saying like making good money, right?
Nice.
Like it's like I don't even want to say it here.
Fucking oath.
It was going fucking oath.
Fucking
right?
oath. Send the fuck out of
it. I was making good money, and then I had all these cars. And 2009, it was like, what the hell's going on here? It was just like you flicked a switch. Nobody was buying. No one was ringing. It was crazy. Like, so you were still selling an odd piece, but overall, it was nearly at a standstill, right?
So just to recap what's happened there, it's went south in London. Everything's came to a standstill. Yeah. It's been hard hit.
Yeah.
You jump back over to Ireland.
Yeah.
It seems to be going great.
Yeah.
You then level up where you're bringing guys over, bringing cars over, you're building stock because you're like, hey, look, this is going gangbusters here.
Yeah.
Then, what was over there, England sneezed and Ireland's caught the cold.
That's it.
And boom, you're now got a big, have you got a big stock at this point?
Probably nearly 40 cars at that time.
And nobody's buying.
No one's buying.
That's all dead. That's dead money out there.
No finance. It was all my own money. Like, so literally, I have all these cars. Like, my mom's giving out to me saying, how come you never have money? But it's not that you never have money. I have money, but it's all, I explained to her, even to this day, it's sitting in cars, you know?
Still don't get it.
It still doesn't get it. Like, even though I told her 1,000 times, she doesn't get it. So, everything is dying down. Then obviously you're seeing massive drops in house prices. Like, I remember in 2010 getting the house I have in Ormore valued, and it was valued at 340 when I bought it.
In 07.
In 07.
July 07, yep.
And July 10, 180,000.
Wow.
Because for the house insurance I get a value. So 180,000 literally 3 years
Is that
later.
market value?
That was the value. They put on market value 180,000.
So it's halved.
Halved. Yeah, halved. And like I remember people saying, oh, why you just throw it back to the bank and all this? And I would never do that because I said I'm a man of my word. Like, I was happy enough to take the money. I'm happy enough to pay it back. Do you get where I come from? Like, I would never...
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Right? I would never just throw it up like that. There was no point. You know, I was happy to have it. But at this time, like as I said in 09 and all this, I was getting 900 rent a month for the rooms in the house. And the mortgage had gone to over 1,200. So the money that was coming in from the rent that was building up, that was left after the mortgage, that was slowly starting to...
dwindle.
Yeah, you could see it dropping, like similar to what happened to people now. Like, so that was dropping. And
so can you see when I discuss this in my podcast, because there's lots of new investors that have came to the market.
Yeah.
And I'm like, right, look, you don't understand how this works.
Yeah.
Like, I've been in the property market before the crash, after the crash, and seen every single thing between then and now.
Yeah.
And people don't get that was the case, Dave. They don't get where, like, you paid this amount, this 336,000, and now you get the house valued and it's 180.
Yeah.
There's people that won't be able to comprehend what that means.
It's crazy. And
like, what do you mean we can't sell it for what we paid for it?
Yeah.
Prices never go down.
But sure, at that time people were just going in, they were going into banks and were just throwing the keys on the table. Like, that was it. And there was so many auctions, like car repossessions at the time, right? There was so many repossessions that they actually had to go up to Kildare and hire, they rented, I think must have been at least maybe 100-acre field. And all these cars, machinery, everything was just lined up in the field, and the auctioneer was just walking along the field. People were following them to buy whatever cars because they couldn't house them in an auction house. There was just too many repossessions.
Wow.
Do you get me? Like, that was it was unbelievable to see, just for miles and miles of cars, machinery, everything that was being repossessed, right? So then in 2010, you had a massive amount of people moving to America, Australia, UK, because it was starting to kind of climb a bit in England again. And all this, like, there were...
So the reverse has happened because you've seen the impact UK, London.
Yeah.
Right, you've moved to get back to where it's good in
Yeah.
Ireland, and what's actually happened is the domino has fell in London.
Yeah.
It's not hit Ireland. Then the dominoes fell in Ireland, and now you're looking to go back to somewhere where they're getting back on their feet. Because you're like, where can we go where it's back on, back to normal?
Yeah, that's it. Like, so people are going to Australia. So what's happened now is the car trade for me was getting worse because you had a person that maybe had at the time would say a 08 520, for example, and I had one for sale and I was looking for 15 grand. They're going to Australia in a week's time. They've it up for 8,000. What one are you going to buy? Do you get me? Like, so
I know what you mean.
It destroyed the car trade for car sellers.
Yep.
Because people that were leaving, they didn't care. They just wanted to gone quick. Like, if you could see a car advertised on Dundee was start at that time, you could see a car advertised and you could offer someone 3 grand less than what they're asking for it. And there was probably like a 50-50 chance they'd take the money because they were immigrating. So many people were leaving. And as
it's just cutting values in half.
Yeah.
And I take it if your mum can't get that you've got money in 40 cars, she's not going to understand that money's getting destroyed. It's in the cars by people taking a lesser amount. I don't think she's going to get the economics of this.
None. It doesn't matter even if you wrote it down first, you won't get
Which is weird because I think back to Miss whatever her face was, the bitch teacher
in university.
In university, and like Miss Varsity, like, so much for the guy that doesn't get it, but he's got a good handle in economics. He's got a good understanding on numbers. He's got an understanding on profit and loss. Like, doesn't sound too much of a somebody that should be locked in a room.
Yeah, with no way out.
With no way out, no toilet.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show there's they're quick in writing you off.
Yeah, they're quick writing me off. Like, it's crazy. Even like, when you were going through your training and mechanicking, right? When we started off, there was 24. The first college term was 24.
24 people.
24 people. When we got to the second college term, it had dropped to 12 people. Half gone. And in that time, the teachers even we had there at that time, he's like, oh, you're never going to finish it. Some of you will just go on and you might get a job driving a digger. You might be able to grease it. Just these teachers were constantly belittling people, like, you know what I mean? Not encouraging them to say, you're going to be the best mechanic in the world.
Too much negativity there.
No PMA.
No PMA.
I'm still up.
They're a PMA diet, so they were.
Thank you, right? So, as I said, 2010, all these people are leaving, car trade is gone, but what's starting to happen is a lot of tradies are going. So, you don't have the same volume of mechanics coming up. You don't have the same volume of carpenters. So, the work now, Lord, that's there's nearly enough of people to suit what's coming. So, slowly but surely, getting busy enough at repairs again. Nothing crazy, but just getting by, selling a few cars, and I'm saving a few pounds, right? But January 2012, I was going to go back to England at that time, right? I just had enough of, maybe 2 good weeks and 4 bad weeks. It was just crazy. Like, I was lucky enough, I had the house, but as I said, €900 rent and putting maybe 300 or 400 euros with it every month just to keep it. So it's costing me money and I'm not even living in it. Do you get me? So January 12, I said, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go to England. And a good friend of mine, he's actually a traveller, this man. He's an Irish gypsy traveller. Terry, I'm friends with him for years. And I was telling him I'm going to go to England. He said, what's up? I said, all these cars here, I don't know how many were there at the time, probably over 40 at this point. There was some of them there 2 and 3 years. They just had lost complete hope for them. And Terry said to me, he said, you know what you need to do? You need to take a hit on them. Blow them out, get some new stock. And what he'd done for me was one thing I'll never, ever, ever forget to the day I die. He had a couple of cheaper cars. So he said, what I'll do, I had no money. My money was gone, right? He said, I'll give you the cars and you sell them. Put on your few quid onto it and whatever, that's left over, you pay me for the car. So I was like, oh, I don't know. I said, I'd rather pay you. And he's like, no, trust me, he said, we'll try it. So he gives me a silver Corolla, Miley, my best friend, and he was like, look, give it a go and see what can happen. So I get the Corolla, I sell the Corolla, I have to give Terry 3 grand, I get 4.2 for it a couple of days later. So I have 1,200 quid profit straight away. I automatically, this is February 2012, before Whitney Houston died, because I remember I sold the last car that I advertised. I put 17 cars on, and I said, if I sell one of them, I'll be happy. And I sold 12 of them or 13 of them within them couple of days. So I was literally had this gust of money coming back in, right? So I'm saving the money now. I'm not being as reckless as I was with it, buying all these cars, no money to fix them, keep buying. It was just gone out of control. And Terry then is bringing me these cheaper cars. So he'd come out with maybe 5 cheap cars. I mightn't have big profit out of them. I might have 300 out of one, 200 out of another one. But I was selling 4 or 5 of them a week. And if you're looking at these small numbers,
they all add up.
Mm-hmm. And I'm still doing repairs. I'm still doing work. So I'm gathering up the money. And then I'm looking at Dundee and I'm looking at the property section. So at this point now, it's coming near 2013, and I see the first bit I bought. I actually never done anything with it, but I just bought it at the time. I see this land for sale up in Northern Ireland, full planning permission with everything on it. And a cousin of mine came up with me, Stephen. He went up with me, and the snow on the ground. I can't even see the ground. Okay,
what were you expecting to see?
I don't know what I was expecting to see. I was expecting to see what was in the plans. You know, this literally PMA, George. I'm looking down and saying, "This will be the drive. This will be this, right?" So we land down, there's a foot of snow on the thing. We're lucky to even get to your man's house. It's snowing that hard, right? This is around January 13. And your man was looking for between 30 and 40,000 pounds for it. And I said, look, I'll give you 20,000 euro for it. I said, I'll give you a bit of cash, we'll do a bit of this, and I'll buy it off you. So he was like, oh no, I can't take it. So I said, look, I have 1,000 quid on me here, I'll give you a deposit, and no, I'm not going messing you around.
Talk's cheap, Dave.
Day of the wedding's the day to cut the cake, George, right? So your man was like, let me
say that again.
The day of the wedding's the day to cut the cake.
Exactly.
I learned that from Terry, my friend. So anyways, we looked at it and your man said, oh geez, I can't take that for it. I said, look, I'll give you, if it's any good to you, I'll give you 1,000 now and we'll get the show on the roll and get solicitor. I said, you know what, fuck it. Rolled out a piece of paper, got 1,000, done the deal, and within 2 months the property was in my name. No, I shouldn't have probably even bought that land. It was probably just I had the money building up there, and I said it'll be an investment for the future. So this 2013, as I told you, like by the time I'm 30, which is going to be 17, I want to have the 10 houses. I told you there's money in the bank. So I'm looking on Dundee and I see this.
What age are you at this point?
This point, 2013, I would have been 25.
5 years to go.
5 years to go.
So 2018 is the target date.
November 17 was the target day, right? So anyways, I look on Dundee, I see this 4-bedroom property in Roscommon, Castlereagh. It's anyone who knows Castlereagh, because that's where there's a prison. There's a prison in Castlereagh. If you've been to Castlereagh to anyone, it's like the first thing when your head is a prison. 4-bedroom house, built in the 60s. A guy he had bad tenants, just, you know yourself with tenants moving in, can't get them out. It was just a nightmare for him, so he's wanted to offload it. So he was looking for 70,000, and I bought off him for 45. It was a buyer's market that time, 2013. So I bought off him 45,000 euro. That was another one added to the list. Like, so then, 2000, we'll say I'm working away, still selling the cars, and I'm making a lot of money at this point now. I'm making a lot of money from the repairs, a lot of money from thing. I end up buying a brand new motorbike in 14. I buy a brand new van in 14. You know, things are going good, like, you know. And I'm looking on Dundee and I see this other house up in Athlone for sale in Ireland, in Westmeath. It was a 3-bedroom house with a 1-bedroom flat on the side of it. So your man wanted to sell the 2 of them. He just wanted out. So I went up, and again he was looking for I think it was 80,000 pounds, 80 to 90,000 euros at the time. And I went up and looked at it, and it's true as I'm sitting here in this chair. This is no word of a lie. I was ringing him, similar story with Lionel, wouldn't answer the phone, nothing. He rings me back, and he said, I had a missed call from the number, didn't know who it was, because obviously my phone's ringing every day. And I said, I'm interested in buying your house. So he was like, right. I said, can I look at it? He said, oh, I have loads of people ringing me. I said, look, am I the first one to ring you? He said, you were. I said, well, let me be the first one to look at it. I said, if I look at it, again with the same stunt, I said, I'll give you 1,000 euro cash on the spot, and I'll close the deal, there'll be no messing. So he's like, you know what? Okay, let's do that So go up, I look around the thing, and he's informed the tenants that we're going to be coming up to view the house, so to vacate the house and thing. He goes with the key in the door won't open. Next year we hear this bang, and there's these 2 pit bulls inside the window looking out. And I said to your man Declan, I said, do you think it's alright for us to go in here? Like, these guys don't look too friendly. And he said, geez, I told them I didn't even know they had a dog, he said. So we're looking in the window, we're knocking on the window, we go around the back, and these fucking dogs are gone crazy, man. They're running around the kitchen in circles. So I look in the window of the kitchen, and I turn around to him, I said, Declan, I said, what's it like inside? And he said, well, the last time I was in a couple of years ago, it was alright. I said, does it need a bit of a hand? He said, look, it might need a small bit. I said, look, I'll buy the house off you. Never seen the inside of the house. Never seen it at all. We walk into the granny flat. It's a mess, the whole thing.
What's it like inside?
Dog shit everywhere, just a mess. Door doesn't close, window broke. It's just, it needed to be completely tossed, you know, like the whole thing had to be done. It had a big, massive bay window on it. That needed to be, you know, it was just a complete mess.
It's run down.
Run down. So I ended up, your man was after starting a new business selling kitchens. And he was telling me he wanted to sell this to get some money to buy a van and to clear the mortgage on his own house. So I said, look, I sell cars, I sell vans. So I said, would you trade a van in against it? I'll give you money. He said, yeah, sound. So I ended up giving him €56,000 and an 11 Kangoo van, which was a 3-year-old van at the time. So for me, I had the van in at fairly reasonable money. So I got a good deal on the house. And I straight away then started doing work on it, getting it repaired. You know, you couldn't see it was overgrown with trees. It was a mess. But when I got the keys with the first ever, the keys your man had wouldn't even open it. We had to climb in through a window to even get access to it. But these were the chances that I was taking I could see the potential in it. I could see that it's right across the road from a college. There's a bus stop at the top of the road. This was a place that was never, ever going to be empty, you know? Mm-hmm. And the same with Castlereagh. Any of these places in Ireland where people are like, oh, I'd never buy there. It's a home to someone. Do you get me? Someone wants to live there. Like, it's going to rent. Like, you're going to get people. And then I bought another one in Ireland for 35,000, and then that's what brought me then when I got to Scotland. And during this time then, I also got put off the road, disqualified from driving. So that's through a massive spanners in the work. When you're a mechanic, you need to be test driving cars, you need to be doing all this. So it was just, it was a massive, like for me, I couldn't believe that they were putting me off the road. It was an accident where I got rear-ended and I ended up getting disqualified from driving. It was unheard of. Mm-hmm. So then I seen the one in Scotland and I ended up moving, after I bought that one off Lionel in Scotland, I ended up moving to Aberdeen. And when I moved to Aberdeen, that's when things got really crazy altogether.
Why did you move to Aberdeen?
I couldn't drive in Ireland because I was disqualified. So moving to Scotland, I could still drive. Do you get me?
So were you moving, did you actually move here or did you just make it look you were here?
No, I was moved up. I lived in Aberdeen. So my cousin, he had went before me and another friend. So I came over to them, we'll say. So my cousin went, he went back to college and I stayed in Aberdeen. But the settings were cruel, like. So we're living in a campsite, right? This now, if anyone's seen this, if you pass these, there was 3 caravans in it, right? And if you pass these 3 caravans, you'd say, there's no one been living in there for the longest time. Because this place, man, they were green. They were under trees, were on the site, and these caravans were rotten. No toilets, no showers, no nothing. These were literally just somewhere to lay your head. Do you get me?
What were you doing there?
So I went over doing groundwork initially, just anything. Just so I didn't want to get caught driving in Ireland. Do you get me? Like, and I knew if I just go over to Scotland, it'll be, you know, be an opportunity anyways. You know, different adventure in life to see something different.
What'd you do with the cars back in Ireland?
I sold nearly everything before I left. I didn't, some of them I lost some money, some I didn't, but I literally just blew them off and I gathered up all the money. Do you get me? Like, I just gathered up all the money. I'm living in Aberdeen now. I'm in a caravan. I'm sharing it with this other lad from Limerick who's mad into smoking drugs and taking coke, right?
In a caravan.
In the caravan, right? The caravan now, I'll just give you a quick brief in the caravan. So you walked in the door of the caravan and there was one bedroom here, which was mine, and there was another bedroom in front of you, which was Ray's. This is the lad from Limerick. The floor was rotten. So you had to walk sideways. You couldn't use the toilet because obviously it was connected to nothing. You had to walk sideways along the little bit of a corridor because the floor was so rotten. And there was a rope tied from the window on one side of the caravan to the other door to keep the door closed because the lock was gone. Right? And for heat then, we had one radiator and we put it in the middle and put the 2 doors in again it, and the doors
funneled the heat in.
Funneled the heat into the 2 rooms. So I was there, and then there was another 2 Irish lads across the way from me, and then there was 2 Polish lads in the other caravan. So we're all living in this little caravan on site. And I was living with Ray, and it was just a nightmare, like, because this lad, you come into the caravan, it's stinking of weed and everything, but the final straw, he actually ended up getting thrown out after this, like, was, I arrived home one Friday night, and after meeting a few friends, we're getting food. We arrived back to the caravan, and I don't know if you ever see the episode of Father Ted, after they done Lent. And Mrs. Doyle opens the door, and the smoke bellowing out from underneath the door, right? I opened the door of this caravan, and I think this lad, after falling asleep on the couch and lighting it on fire, because I couldn't see anything. All I'm getting is the smell of weed and smoke. And I walk in, and he's like King Ding. He's thrown out in the chair like this, hands around, giant in his mouth, cocaine all over the fucking table, and this boy from Liverpool with him. And I'm just thinking, like, what the fuck? I said, Ray, man, I have to sleep here tonight, like. And these boys here live in a house party inside in the caravan that you shouldn't be keeping a dog inside. And like, he is like smoke everywhere. You can't see anything, burning the eyes, you walking around inside it. So me and my mate then headed off, and we came back later that night, and your man ended up getting sacked a couple of days later, so it was grand. But I don't know if you remember this, then Lionel was ringing me up. So Lionel goes, Dave, would you buy another property off me? And I was like, what's it like? No, me and you were still in contact. I was still ringing you, talking to you, whatever. And I said, what's it like? He said, oh, it's a nice apartment, a little bit of a damp issue, which George, they love every place with damp.
Oh, Dave loves a bit of damp. If we got a property and it's even got the slightest bit of moisture, Dave's probably not interested. If it's like the fucking inside of the goldfish bowl, or ideally as wet as the Atlantic Ocean, Dave's your man. He is a lover of the moisture in properties.
So we arrived down from Aberdeen, me and my friend, and we pick you up at the house, and we drive down to Airdrie. We land down, and there's this big plywood thing over the door, and you've written it, no boiler, no copper inside. So I go to you, why the fuck did you write that, George? And you're like, just to let them know there's nothing inside. I said, is there? And he said, yeah, but it might throw them off. And you put the screw going on, you open one screw and there's no thread. And I said, when were you in here last? And you're like, oh, it must have been 6 months ago. I said, well, there's definitely been someone in here already. And we pulled down the plywood, and there it is. No wire, no copper, no nothing. They've robbed everything.
Yeah.
Damp, coming 4 foot up the walls. This place was a mess. Mm-hmm. And Lionel had asked me 40 grand. So when I left and went back to Aberdeen, you rang Lionel or whatever, had the conversation with him, and he rang me and said, look, what would you offer me for it? So I think I bought it from the time was 20 grand, we had to organise whatever I had with the bank that time. But then I had a taste for Scotland, because I could see that having you here on the ground, knowing the lie of the land, you know the right areas, you know the right management companies, you can organise repairs. Having you here was a massive, massive, attraction for me to invest in Scotland. So I was like, you know what, I can buy this for 20. I can get a couple of my friends that are living in Glasgow, do a couple of jobs. George can do this for me. And then it's what really drew me to Scotland. So I kind of forgot about Ireland because properties were too dear. But for here, you could get value. You could buy somewhere for £40,000, spend 10,000 on it, and make money. Mm-hmm. So, you helped me get that one sorted. I ended up buying 2 more in Coatbridge the same year with the money from that I had all saved up from having all the cars and the rent coming in. And then that's when I ended up going to America. So when I went to Boston, best time of my life, really, being honest. A great place.
It was wild. I remember thinking, how do you, speaking to you on the phone, it would just be like you never knew what was coming up next. Because I remember saying to you, where are you? In Aberdeen. I'm thinking, right, okay, how do you get from Ireland to Aberdeen? And then I'll come down and see this property. Right, we'll get it fixed up for you. We'll get it moving, get it doing what it needs to get you started. And it got to the point where you're like, yeah, I'm heading to America. I'm like, how do you end up there? Like, how did it come to pass that you've got Mad Ray that's in there smoking the living daylights out himself? He's puffing like a chimney. He's somehow managed to find a Scouser boy for Liverpool. Right, it's like the caravan edition of Scarface. You can't even see. You end up buying this property and then end up in Boston. How do you end up doing this?
Still disqualified from the road, George.
Were you still disqualified?
Still disqualified, and it all came.
Talking about extremes, like you get disqualified for the road, so let's go to the land of the free. Let's get to America.
Let's get to America. Let's get to the States. Yeah, so my friend had immigrated there he left in August 2015 to go over, and he ended up staying over there. So he was one of my best mates. I don't even want to mention his name now, but one of my best friends. And he was over there, and me and another friend of mine, Joe, and my cousin Steve, we headed out to him. And once I landed in America, it was just, again, a new adventure. It was something completely different way of life, lovely people, making money, everything was good. So like I'm there, I'm in America.
In Boston.
In Boston, yeah, in Boston. And working, making good money. And I've done a few deals with cars while I came back from Aberdeen and whatever, so I've saved up that few quid. I've rent still coming in. Now the rent is coming in consistently. You know, I've Chanel was managing it for me. I had money coming in off that. I have no stress. I have no worries. Everything's been looked after and everything's right. And I said, you know, I'm going to buy another place. So I'm looking online. This is where we're having the joke earlier on about me sending you the address. I'm looking on Zoopla, 12 o'clock at night, the dampest place on the on the page. And
so to give people a bit of insight into this, like what sort of happens is Dave's sort of clearly very hardworking, active during the day, right? And it, even though you didn't end up having a pint to unwind down the pub in London like Bernard and John, your uncles,
yeah,
your way of unwinding sort of materialised, and it became clear to me that somehow you felt that compelled to share your unwinding process with me, and I wasn't clued into this shit. So how Dave unwinds was there's three parts to the property market. I in my property course I do a triangle, a pyramid, and at the very top is high capital appreciation, so you buy it and it's going to be worth a lot more money than what you paid for it. And in the middle you've got the it'll go up, it's got a good chance of going up in value and you'll get decent cash flow. And at the very bottom of that triangle is the bottom third, and that's you'll make high cash flow but don't expect it to go up much. Now the very, very bottom of that pyramid right, is the stuff you need to be very careful about going near, right? And I explained to you, it's a bit like if you go out and there's certain guys that have came a cropper with seen this type of woman. It looks great, but you should never, under any circumstances, go near it, right? And that is the thing. There's properties that are like that. And your way of unwinding at night is to go on to the portals and just like a fiend searching for things that are naughty and wrong that they shouldn't touch. Like, there's sites for that, but your site isn't the dodgy adult sites. Your site for that is Zoopla and Rightmove. And unbeknown to me, I'm somewhere getting wrapped into this, where you decide, who can I fucking share this with? Right? People will look down on me if I tell them that what I'm up to, but I know I can talk to fucking Geo. Let me send them. What do you think of this? And I'm looking, I'm like, Dave, it's fucking 12:15 at night.
There's a fridge in the bathroom.
Yeah, there's a fucking fridge in the bath. There's no windows in the flat. Do you think it's worth a shot? Like, Dave, the fucking cruise ship that's cruising through the fucking Mediterranean, the bottom of the ship is drier than this flat. I think it just needs a wee bit of tea, a wee bucket of love. The fucking PMA combined with the fucking let me unwind, looking at Zoopla and Rightmove, and I'm like, Dave, please don't buy any of this. And you're like, but do you think we can make it work?
Keeping the positive side of it, John.
Fucking hell. Like, Dave, right, listen to me. We'll go along with this, but please do not purchase any of these until I've had a good look through them. There was one.
The home report.
Do you remember?
Danger everywhere.
Did you send me the home report? It came with a fucking warning. Like,
a disclaimer when you read it.
It was like the 18 plus of, like, you need to confirm that what you're about to see, you're going to hold us not responsible for, because in here is just fucking warning after warning. And meanwhile, I'm like, Dave, you really want to, and I'm trying to put it subtly that you're looking at shite, but you're like, do you think is there an outside chance? I'm like, well, that's fucking positive mental attitude, I'll give you that. Trying to find the credit. I'm like, fair play to him, he's looking for it. He's looking for he's giving it a go. But I remember one of the ones that you sent, and the fucking bathwater, they had a picture in the property. I don't know if you remember this one.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
So we were having a conversation about, like, these people that buy weird stuff on these, like, sites. So maybe they want, like, a fart in a jar, or they'll buy a pair of knickers, or the air hostess's tights, or fucking worn out shoes and stuff, like just fetishy stuff, things people are into, right? So, but it's secretive and they don't really let it out. Well, Dave's sort of letting in that dirty properties are his thing. Right, dirty properties. He didn't need OnlyFans or any of these dodgy adult sites. Dave just needed Rightmove and a few search criteria in his mobile at about half past midnight. Don't show me the deer stuff. Just I don't want romanced. Don't show me that shiny gear. Let me see the dirt. Let me see the damp. Right. Let me see. I've got what I have got what this place needs. And I remember looking at the home reports and I was thinking, fucking hell, man, let Dave, like, yeah, that it would be like, you would just be machine gunning links. Like, boo, boo. My missus would be like, bing, 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 bing. She'd wake up, she'd be like, who the fuck is messaging you at this time of night? I'd be like, Dave, so one of the properties, aye, okay. And I'd look at some of the stuff, and one of the ones where there's like, you get these people that buy the kinky stuff, pants, air hostesses tights, shoes, show me a picture you wearing them. Well, you wanted the down and dirty properties, and this one that you sent, there was a picture in the bathroom, and it looked like, I don't know what was in this bathwater, right, but I reckon you could have probably sold the bathwater to some of these people that were into kinky stuff for more than what this flat was actually worth.
The unknown.
Because the bath was full and it was like black and just tar, and something had went on, right? So something had went on, and somebody closed that door, swore never to go in that flat again, shut the door and sold it for any price. And somehow in Ireland there was a guy on Zoopla at about just the right time, at just the right place, thinking, do you know what? I think this could work. And then a notification in Scotland with a link, and me going, what the fuck am I looking at? Like, I know you're looking for value, but I mean, this is only fit for Raymond and his Scouser pal who's wanting a fucking bender. So yeah, it was quite fun seeing these just random things that would come through, but they were wild and wacky.
Yeah, but when I was in, as I said, when I was back and I was in America and I was saving this money, and then I got on to you, we ended up getting the 2 places down in Coat Bridge. There was another 2 on. And I tried to set a target where I was going to buy 1 or 2 a year, So I'm back in America then again. I'm coming on to 30. And when I turned 30, a couple of things I wanted to have, as I said, I wanted the 10 houses. I wanted to have a couple of quid in the bank. And one other thing I wanted, and it was when I was 20 years old and I was in London, my cousin Pádraig came over from Ireland, celebrate my birthday with me over in London. And we were going into a nightclub. And your man was at the door. And I always had a thing about watches. I loved watches. And I said, Jesus, that's a lovely watch. What is it? He says, a Rolex. Mm-hmm. And we're going in eyes, and my cousin, I said, see, when I turn 30? He said, yeah. I said, I'll have one of them watches. So when I turned 30, I had 9 houses. I had a little bit of money in the bank, and I bought the watch. So I was 1 house off my goal.
Tell you what, the expression, you ever heard the quote, let me think of it now. I can remember the last bit. I'll need to look it up. Something like, aim for the, if you set the
goal high and aim for the stairs.
It's like, if you aim for the, I can't remember what it is. Aim for something, but you'll land amongst the stars.
Yeah.
So even if you miss,
yeah, you still got up there.
You still got up there.
Yeah.
Like, see if you don't have a target to 10, you're never going to get to 9 or 8 or 7. So maybe have your target for 10. See if you get 9, you're going to be gutted.
Yeah.
Probably not.
No.
So you get to 9 at 30.
Yeah.
You got a Rolex on your wrist.
Yeah.
You've got some money in the bank.
Yeah.
You've been in different countries. You've been from Boston to Vegas to a caravan in Aberdeen with no floor in it. And it looks like a Cheech and Chong movie. And then every single range of dirty down and out property that you could possibly find, you've put a few quid in, you've made the money, you've then hustled. You're starting to get some income now because
getting money coming in,
cash flow's coming in. Because this was the thing when you came round to me and you were like, "This is what I need." I was like, "What do you do?" and you're buying and selling the cars, and the thing with buying and selling cars is like it's quick hits, but it's you're constantly selling. So you've got a bit of an issue if anything causes that to halt, like you've seen in 08, 09.
Of course, like you're
so what you want is something that's a steady flow in, so that if any one of the other things that you're doing has an impact, you've still got the other one that can feed you or help you get by. So this is a great way of understanding why cash flow is a serious part of any plan that you have.
Well, it changes your life because you don't have to be thinking, you know, when that money's coming in from the rent, right? I don't have to be thinking, do I have enough money to pay for this month? Do I have enough money to pay for that? If I wanted, I wouldn't have to work at all because I could just survive off the money that's coming in. Now, all these are long-term rents, you know, like, and as you know, I've changed the strategy last year to what I normally do.
Well, I really put the cat amongst the pigeons with that one, didn't I? When you think, how did it come about? We'll get back to Boston, but this is a good one.
Yeah,
because you were buying a property and it fell through. Dodgy solicitor. You'd found something.
Yeah.
You'd found a Dave special.
Yeah.
A shite hole.
Dirt.
Just a filth.
Dirt.
Right. It was that. It was like your boy Subaru.
Fridge in the bathroom.
It was a shocker, and I'm like, Dave, right? Please, fucking stop. Right. If you want, tell you what to do. I'll find you a property.
Yeah.
I'll find you a property, and I'm doing this thing that blow your mind. And you know, even you, Mr. PMA, was like, surely you can't get this type of money.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Like, surely you can't make this much money, this much cash flow out of a property. And I can't remember what we paid. What did we pay for it?
33 grand.
33 grand.
And
it was 33 grand.
10k in for
10k in.
Get her all up and going. And literally, so I was looking at that property as I told you, the one in Paisley. And I had this, when Colin Laverty retired, he just gave me a number of this other person that was in Wishaw as well. So I was using them, and I'd used them for a couple of sales before that. They were always a headache. They were always like, literally, I was fighting for them to do work for me, even though I was paying them. And this one property, I'd sent all the information over to get all my bank statements, the ones in Irish even, everything confirmed that I had the money to buy the property. And there was a postal strike here in England, or in the UK. I think it was in Scotland, yeah, there was postal strikes all over. So I sent all my paperwork at the start of November, and by the 14th of December, they still hadn't received them. And the solicitor was telling me, if I don't have the paperwork in the next couple of days, I'm calling this deal off. And I was like, well, why are you calling the deal off? Like, it should not be up to me. Like, you work for me. And I was talking to you about this, even you said the same thing. So the interest rates had rose in January. So they had, or not the interest rates, what was it? The stamp duty had rose. Yep. And I was just outside the threshold. So I didn't have enough of money legally on the paperwork to show that I have a bit of cash at home, but that's no good for here. I don't have the money in the bank. So I was talking to you and I said, what do you think? And you said, Dave, that place is shite. Leave with me, I'll find you a gym. And within an hour, you send me this link. Bing, right move. And there it is. The cash cow in Dumbarton. You send me this flat in Dumbarton. Someone has obviously gone in, they've done a lot of work to it, but either they ran out of money or circumstances changed, and this property is there. And you said, this is going to be the one. And I'd never seen it. I left it up to you and you said, yeah, contact Tracy, tell her thing, got in contact with her, and everything just went literally like you click your fingers, done. No dramas, no headaches, smooth sailing. So we got that property, but to do the refurb, the few of the pieces, you helped me get everything sorted, fair play to you, like got everything done. And on the 26th of May, we put it online. We're waiting for we had a bit of an issue with the Wi-Fi because I had to have someone there. They wouldn't go into the house alone. They were afraid. So I had to have someone there. They went in, connected the Wi-Fi, rang you. So the Wi-Fi was at 1 o'clock that day. And at 5 o'clock that evening, you sent me a message showing that was after being booked for 5 days, coming the next day. And straight away, that's cash in. After 5 days, another booking for 2 weeks. So since this property went live, we'll say in May, taking good months and bad months and everything, up to December, it's been averaging out at just over £1,400 a month return every single month. And
if you were renting that out, you'd be getting
£400 max.
Yeah,
max £400. I know you do have to put the money in to get it. Getting a proper team in. The Flint Properties, that company.
Yep, flat.
Got them in, got all their team in, got it all up and going, and literally made it look unreal. Like, it's a lovely flat. and having the right people in, having the right work done on it, and making it appealing to anybody that wants to come and stay in a nice property that's going to be well cleaned and everything. It's literally just been good reviews, and it's just so hard to believe. Anyone I tell about this, they're like, no. And even I'm looking at your podcast and I see things, I put comments on your page, like, and I would actually love to be able to screen. I even said it to you. I would like to put the screenshot onto YouTube, but it physically won't let me do it because this is unbelievable to see the return for such a small investment. So say 33,000 plus the 10 and a couple of grand legal fees, 45 grand, and this is taking in 1,400 quid every month.
And that's paying the team to manage it.
That's everything.
You're not needing to do a thing.
I haven't seen it since March last year after I bought it. I haven't been inside the door of it. Only seeing pictures. I've no dramas. That team in Flint Properties, they look after everything. I've no headaches or anything like that. And that's the way I want to do it. Like, and that's why I said to you, I want to buy another one. And that's why I'm in the market, even as you know today.
Yeah, we're going to buy one after here.
Yeah, you know,
we're going to go out and buy one because you said that you came to my house this morning. You arrived early, and you were talking to my missus. And by the time you were finished, by the time I says, give me, just nip away into the office, and then came back. We've got 3 properties to go and look at.
Yeah,
there'll be, and I think I know the one that we're going to buy.
Yeah,
as simple as that. Like this is what happens when you do something so often and so regularly and continually improve that it's like working on a car. When you start, it's hard, so you need someone else. Yeah. But if you continue to do it, there's very little that you can't do. And this is what it's like with property. If you put in the reps, put in the repetition, you put in the hours, you can just see things. And like you were sitting in my office earlier on, and you could see how quickly I can decipher.
Yeah, it was just. Yeah, I said I don't even know how you've done that. You know, like it's just. I'm looking, and you're like, oh, look at the floor in here. That's all gone. You could just see the little details that I wouldn't be watching out for. And one thing I have to emphasize, even talking to you now, is, and for anyone that's even looking at this, using you. No headaches of solicitors. No dramas getting work done. No dramas trying to find a management team. Everything is just in-house, done and shut. And for me, from Ireland, flew from Ireland this morning, I'm over there and it's like I don't even have them. I don't have to think about them. They're at the back of my mind. But I know that every month if I look at my bank account, I can see that the money is coming in. You know, and that is, to have that comfort is, you just can't put a price on it.
Well, we were speaking to one of your good friends, and he was saying the same. He's like, I don't know you from Adam. He's like, but hearing what Dave said, he's like, I can't get my head round it's this easy.
Yeah.
He's like, Dave's telling me that you literally don't need to do anything.
Yeah.
And that you find everything, you manage everything, and it makes this much money.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't fathom how it works. Yeah. And I'm like, we're not talking about theoretical. Like, this is real stuff. Like, Dave can show you.
Yeah,
he can show you the real figures.
Screenshots on, even to show people these are the returns. This is real. Like it's so hard to think that you invest this little money and you can get this big return. And even there, a couple of weeks ago, we're up in Belfast. Just went out for a weekend, me, my missus, and my daughter. And I went down to the swimming pool. Missus didn't want to come down. I'm just down. I'm in the sauna, and there's this man and his wife there. So his wife is of age and origin, but she's from Dumbarton. So we're just there and we're having a chit chat, and she's like, where are you from? And I said, from Galway. And I could hear she had a Scottish accent. And he was from the north. Her husband, he was a white man from the north. So I said, oh yeah. I said, where are you from, Scotland? She goes, oh, Dumbarton. I was like, oh. I said, I know it. She looked at me like sideways. She's like, how do you know Dumbarton? And I said, I actually have a flat there. And the minute I said that, she was like, she's like, so you're from Galway? And I said, yeah. I said, you have a flat in Dumbarton? I said, yeah, I actually have 9 properties in Scotland, around Glasgow. And she said, oh, you're winding me up. I said, I can, if you want to come out to the locker room, I'll show you my phone. I'm not messing with you. And they could not believe this. And they were like, how much did you pay? And I have no problem in hiding it. I told them, I said, look, this is how much I paid. This is the return. And even them, being from Scotland, originally being from Scotland, she couldn't get her head around that there's this opportunity out there over here in the UK. And the best thing in Scotland is the freehold. So you don't have any leasehold issues. You're not worrying about leases running out or anything like that. It's brilliant, like, and that's why I keep investing here, because it's just so quick. You can close on a deal in 2 weeks if all the paperwork is right. Where in Ireland, if you're buying a property, it could go on for 6 months because this form is wrong and the planning is wrong and it goes on.
A headache.
It's a headache. It's an absolute headache, like, you know? It's an absolute headache. And that's why, as I said, even speaking with you and having you here, I'm so blessed because I don't have to worry about it. If I have an issue, I can ring you up and you say, yeah, no hassle, I'll get sorted.
Take your headache away.
Yeah, and it's worth every penny.
And it's the good thing here is that guiding you to get these types of things is keeping you away from the dodgy ones that you're looking at midnight.
The Zooplers.
Because inevitably what happens is I'm looking at this and it's like, if you buy this, I know this is going to end up in my plate somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's better to intercept this now, right, and go and find you something. Because you seen how quick it was this morning, like literally like that.
Yeah.
Within 30 minutes, I'd found 3 properties, called 2 agents, and says, look, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it's ripe, ready to go.
Yeah.
And when you've got the experience in terms of going out and doing this so often, I can see, right, we can do something with this, or we might have a property in the area. The management company might have the bank of information that says, look, this is the results. When I was figuring out this process, I'd actually reached out to the hosts because I'd found out which ones were performing the best and spoke to them. I just said, look, I wouldn't mind talking to you. And I was like, I don't know if you know, but you're the best performer in the area. And I would have conversations with people. And a lot of people wouldn't do that. And, when I was learning how to trade, big part of that is how to interpret and analyze data. So taking information and working out the whole picture and what that can tell you. And see, when you take all the big picture data and it tells you something, and then you drill down into, right, who's doing it in the area, who's the best, and then you look at what's available in the area, then you can figure out how to put these pieces together. And that's why we're getting such a good result for your property, because it's all that work that's went into going, this is how it's done. A lot of people don't see that because it's a bit like the swan on the surface of the water. It looks beautiful and graceful. It doesn't look like it's doing anything. It looks like it's gliding. Under the surface, you don't see how hard its feet are moving.
Yeah.
Right, but it's that thing because people just think it's a case of this magic sort of happens. Well, there's a huge power of work that went into figuring that part out.
Of course. And like, going back briefly, right? After I left America, I went to Australia, right? And I don't even remember this. I remember me and you were always in constant, we'd always be talking every week or every 2 weeks or definitely a couple times a month. I remember I rang you up and we were having a conversation. I said, I think about coming home soon. And you said, well, look, I'm looking at data here and I'm telling you there's something big coming. Now, this is before COVID. And you said there's something big coming. And you said, if you have money over there, the best thing you do is take it out of there, because I'm telling you, you said that is going to drop. And like that, found a property in Chapel Hall. You went down, looked at it, said, yeah, look at good place, needs a little bit of work, but there's potential. So the money I had in Australia, sent that over and got that property bought. And obviously then, within a couple of months later, COVID hit. The Australian dollar dropped from 61, or like in the pound, it would have been for $1 or 55 pence. And it had dropped down to below like 48. Mm-hmm. So getting the money out of that time and investing it was, you've seen in the market that you could see the trends. As you said, you're analysing trends, you're analysing all this, and you could see that if you leave that money there, there's a good chance you're going to lose it.
You're going to get it cut.
Yeah.
It still looks the same, but what it can buy is not the same.
Not the same.
And I'm like, move it now.
Yeah, move it now.
Move it now and get it into something.
Yeah. And
we were talking about things like, what should I buy? I said, either buy property that makes you some income, right? Because even if the property value fluctuates, you've still got the income coming in that can supplement it, or buy some physical metals. So at the time I was telling you, look, you should buy gold.
Yeah.
Gold around that time was around $1,200. So the gold, I think it was $1,200 to $1,400 at the time. And I says, look, you should definitely think about buying gold. Gold today's $2,100.
Yeah.
So like if you sunk that money in there, it's the opposite effect, because what people don't realise is if something's going down on one side, something's going up on the other side.
Yeah.
Right. And it's this balance. Money doesn't like fucking disappear and evaporate into space. What happens is the value loses somewhere and the value increases somewhere else, and it rebalances itself. It's about understanding that big picture, where when I was saying, when you were in Australia, I was like, look Dave, I can see this. Here's the plays. You can pick which one, but move it now, because the worst thing that you can do is do nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And just leave it sit there, like.
Yep.
And like that then when COVID hit and lockdowns and, you know, people couldn't be evicted, all this stuff came in. And then, you know, you do have tenants. Some tenants just walked out of my properties, didn't bother paying rent or whatever. You know, obviously, there's always this. This is the reality of it. You know, you're going to have tenants that are going to not pay the rent. You have a job to get them out, but that's just reality. And that's when you said to me, I have a new plan. And I was like, what's that? You said service apartments. So I'm after changing a few over. You just think about it. And obviously I have PMA and I do keep a positive mindset, George, but I was just thinking, how the hell is this going to work now? COVID, you're not allowed to go 5 kilometres in Ireland. Like, how is this going to work? And it wasn't like, it took me 2 years later before I actually took the plunge, bought that property, made a service apartment of it, and it's just unbelievable.
We should hear, like, that's not unusual, and there's people that don't have as positive a mindset as you. William, that we had on, that I do the property podcast with, he tells what happens. He's like, he's built up a database of investors, and he'll email them out what he's up to. You know, put on deals and the information and give out the numbers, and people will get in touch and they'll say, I've been watching you for a year, 18 months, 2 years, because it's like, if something's flash in the pan, you see them 1 month, you never see them again. But when somebody's keep doing it all the time, eventually you go, look, maybe this is worth a crack. And at this point, I mean, we had a meteoric rise in terms of shifting the properties over, and it was just a blistering performance. And it was a case of even sometimes there was one property I put on, and I thought, you know, if this does 3K, I would be over the moon. Right, I'm getting $850 rent. If it does 3K, I'd be over the moon. First month was £7,500. So we were out the door after costs and everything was paid, £5,900 profit on an £850 a month rental. I was like, I cannot believe the number. Sometimes even when you're doing it, and even when you've done it as many times, there's just sometimes you just go, they'll never guess that. So you can understand why it takes a bit of time for people to go, I'm not sure this is real.
Yeah, I know. And like, obviously there's a lot of people who, I look on YouTube all the time, and there's other people that are on it and everything, and you see, you know, they're, as you said, we're going back to it again, talk is cheap. It's very easy to say you can have this and you can have that, and I can tell you, I've worked very, very hard and long hours. Like in Australia, like I was working up to 81 hours in a week. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I was
just part-time.
And I can see the rewards of it now, you know. And even I said to my wife, I said, like, even I don't think even she understands that this income, like, would sustain us. Like, we don't have to actually work if I don't want to work, but I would never ever stop. You know, I have a new goal. Like, my goal is now that I have 20 houses, but I'm in 40. So I'm 36 now and I have 18 already. So
that's too push. You need
and hopefully by today I'll have another one. With the help of God.
Today you're going to be. How many do you need to get? One more by the time you're in 4 years.
No, you get two.
We're going to have one by this afternoon.
So that's it. I'm nearly at my target, like, you know, already. So, but
you need to up that target. That target's not big enough.
Nothing comes quick. Anything that comes quick goes quick, and it's about, like, how long are you researching this? How long have you been in the game? You know the ups and downs. You actually have done the dirty work and the good work, and you know how hard it is to make a right investment. Because even with me, I've been around cars all my life, and every now and again I get caught, and it's just the nature of the beast. It's going to happen. You're
never going to get winners. All you can do is use your experience to get out of something quick. If it's a loser, you know it's a loser. Get out of it.
Yeah,
don't fucking hang on to it.
No.
Right, you made the mistake. What can you learn from it? Make sure you never do it again, and get out of it as quickly as possible. Don't linger. Don't give it any energy. Just cut it fast, right? And then what you'll find is that the more you do that, and the better you get, and you keep an open mind, and you keep learning. You need to keep learning, and as you keep learning, your wins get higher, and those odd ones become so infrequent. And then because you don't linger and you cut them fast, they almost have very little effect. So you just get it. Even the natural dynamics of it is you're going to get better performance out of yourself, and that's the secret sauce. The secret sauce: cut it fast, keep learning, focus on what works, and it'll work. It'll take care of itself.
Yeah, but when I was over in England, as I said, I used to go around the road with my uncle. Right, he told me lots and lots of sayings. You know, like I've been saying to to you sometimes, you know. But one of the things he always said to me, he said, like, every day is a school day. So there's no one that knows it all. And anyone that tells you they know it all, they know nothing. Because every day you go out, you learn something new. And once you have that mindset that you're willing to take on, you know, bounce information of different people, get new information for yourself, like you're willing to learn. That's what it's all about.
Like Stace will tell you, my wife will tell you, she's like, nobody ever sees the stuff that you do. Like, it'd be Friday nights that I'm reading books, watching some commentary, I'm looking up information, constantly absorbing, because I'm always thinking where can I get better? Where can I improve? What can I watch to make sure that I know what's coming next, and know that I'm not always going to get it right. So how can I make sure that how often I get it right is as often as possible, and how often I get it wrong is as little as possible, and that's that continuation. And they just don't, it's not sexy or glamorous to be reading a PDF at 11:32 on a Friday night, waiting for Dave's Zoopla fucking link because he's finished his shift.
Where the fuck is he? How is this in there?
And it's good because it breaks up. Like, what you been up to, G? I'm just fucking reading something. Like, what do you think of this? And it's just like it's like Forrest Gump, life's like a box of chocolates. With Dave Zoopla links, you have fucking no idea what you're going to get, but it's certainly going to get your attention, whatever it may be.
It's going to be the bottom of the pyramid, at the skim of it.
You know, it might be a fucking in the pyramid, under the pyramid. It might be next to the sewage bit of the pyramid. It might be a gem. You just never know. Because every now and again you find something that's worth a look.
Yeah,
you get the home report, you're like, nah, fuck that. Just don't touch it. Like, we got past stage one. I got past stage one.
I see it there now.
And you sit there and I look at the pictures and I read the home report. I'm like, nah.
This is a mirage.
This is, it's showing you what you want to see. No, the truth.
Not the reality.
No. So you said there you went to Boston. You were in America. That went well.
Yeah.
Did you go from America straight to Australia?
So I came home and I wanted to go back to America, but it was too soon. So
what do you mean too soon? Like to get access back there?
Yeah.
Right.
So I ended up going. My cousin Dick, he was in Sydney. He had been in Perth, moved to Sydney, and like that, always in contact with him. He said, "It's booming over here."
Boom time.
So he said, "Come on over." So I went over. I literally landed there on a Monday. We're looking for jobs straight away. Went for 4 jobs interviews on the Tuesday, and I was working again on the Wednesday. So I got a job with a guy from Cork that, funnily enough, that my other cousin that was in London when I turned 20, he used to work with this lad. It was a small world. And got a job with him, and he gave me a Jeep straight away on good money, getting nearly 4,000 a week just off the bat. Like, and even my cousin Dex said, Jesus Christ, when I came to Australia in 2012, so this is 2018, he said, you know, I was only getting whatever, $1,000, you know, so straight away, like, I was off to a running start, like, and I had him there to guide me, you know, to tell me what questions to ask and everything, you know. It was just great to have. Land.
It's just back in London.
Yeah, so yeah.
Where can I buy a bag of chips? Where's the pizza place?
Thank you very much.
Where can I buy a red Peugeot 205 automatic?
For going around. Yeah. That was it, exactly. And him and his wife had gone out and they'd seen a property that was only about a 10-minute walk from them. So literally, the day I landed, I moved into my flat. So I was living with a lad from Indonesia and another lad that happened to be from Ireland as well. So started off there.
A bit of an upgrade from the caravan.
Big upgrade from the caravan. Big upgrade from the caravan. Or in Boston, where I was sharing a bed with my cousin and another lad was sleeping on a blow-up mattress on the ground.
Oh, really?
A week.
Is it just a 1-bedroom place?
2 bedrooms. But my mate had the big bed, as he'd call it himself. Right. We were in the room, the 3 of us.
The fucking refugee room.
Yeah, 3 sleeping bags. But I'll tell you, what crack. It was the best time of my life over there, man. It was unbelievable. As I said, it was a new adventure. So I'm in Australia now again. Completely different way of life. Very like England, really, the way things
culture.
Work. Yeah, very, very like it. But I'm there, and again, if I remember the first weekend I was in it, my cousin Dick, his housemate, it was her birthday. Or she was turned 30, so they were down in Sydney, and I'd worked that Saturday. First Saturday there, I was out working that morning. And he said, come on in and meet us. So I said, how am I going to get into you? So he said, oh, get the bus. He said, just wait at the top of the road. You can tap your card and you go. You get this Opal card. You know, you top it up like, but they have them here. Do you know, like you can top these cards up and you just...
like a travel card.
Travel card, yeah. So an Opal card they call there. Just tap it and you go. So I'm sitting on the bus and there is no one on it. Me, the driver, and one other person. I was like, Jesus Christ, imagine going into Sydney of a Saturday evening. I'm thinking to myself, this place should be fucking booming. I'm looking down the road and all I see are people everywhere. And I mean everywhere. Leather caps, rainbow flags, women, everything. There's a big Mardi Gras in Sydney. And there I am, the only person that has any kind of normal clothes, heading into Sydney with a group of people that are playing the Vingo bus the whole way into Sydney. Like, it was just, another adventure. Like, this was something that you'd never ever see in Ireland or anywhere. It was just such a mind opener.
So what was that, a carnival?
A Mardi Gras, like a gay pride in Sydney. So I'm on the bus going in with a lad that's wearing a leather cap, leather hot pants, and I'm the only lad, me and the bus driver, that are wearing
normal gear.
Everyone else.
So did your cousin set you up?
No, my cousin was already in a pub scene in Sydney, so he said, get the bus in and I'll meet you when you get in.
And did he have his leather chaps on as well?
No, he had them left at home.
Oh, did he? So, was his thong drying that day?
But it was just crazy. Do you get me? Like, this is, again, a completely other way of life. Like, after going from all these other places and seeing this was just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing going to Australia. So, yeah, so got into Sydney, got work and got all that, and literally just got into the normal rut again, saving up money, like I said, trying to get a goal. And that was it. But Australia never appealed to me as much as it did in America.
What was different about it?
There was just something about America. Even to this day, I always say it. It was just something about America.
What was it? What did you like?
It was just everything about it. It was just the way of life. I think a lot of it was the work-life balance, where you did start work early and everything. You did get good money. The money was better in Australia, but you still got good money in America. But when you went out with your mates, or say if you went for food in the evening, for example, and you went into an Irish place or any place, but if you went into an Irish place, we used to go to this butcher shop and they had a little cafe on the side of it. And every time you go in, the boys saying, are you getting paid well at work? We know this lad is going for a job. Everyone will be trying to get you get the best version of you. You're listening to people that are telling you you're shit and you're slow and you have all these things. But then when you go to America, everyone's like, everyone wants you to succeed. And that was the thing. And that was one thing about Australia when I noticed when I went over was, like we had a talk about this one day, I said the handy touch. Even though if you went and you worked hard and you got good money, some people wouldn't like that handy touch they got. You got money easy. Explain
what a handy touch is.
It's when something happens easy. You don't have to try hard and you get a good reward. It's a handy touch. Every Irish person knows what I'm talking about. Right?
I love that expression.
Right, but this was the thing. Like that's when I was in America. I was in Australia. My friend was having a stag party in Vegas, and I said, right, I'll fly to Vegas and I'm going to go back to Boston. But in the midst of all this, I'd met my wife, and she had come back from Taiwan. She was living in the Philippines, and then I was in Vegas, and I was thinking, right, if I go to Boston, it's going to be harder to get from Boston to the Philippines than it will be to get from Sydney to the Philippines.
There's always a fucking bird shows up somewhere.
And it steered me in a different direction,
Yep.
So that was why I ended up staying in Australia, and then she came and joined me in Australia, and then came back to Ireland, and that was it.
That was good.
Yeah. So now at the moment I've, like as I said with the Airbnb and all that, you told me about that, and my mother and my father, I bought the old home house off them, and there's 2 apartments on it. So over the last couple of years I've been renovating them up, getting them up to standard, got a couple of them on Airbnb there for the summer, and I put more work into them now, trying to get them to a higher standard, But you, like what you said, you're learning all the time. You're learning what people want. What you might think, when you're not a specialist in this line, you might think, oh, they're going to like this, but then they might comment and say, oh, there could be more chairs at the dining table or whatever. And my wife would take that to heart. She'd be like, oh, we got a negative comment. But with negativity comes positivity, because
you're getting to know.
Yeah, you get to know. So now we know that they want 6 chairs instead of 4. Do you get where I'm coming from? But without them giving you that negative feedback, like for me, I will take feedback. I don't mind anyone telling me anything, because that'll help me improve. Because I know then, all right, I'm not going to do it this way, I'm going to do it that way. It's. But if someone doesn't tell you you're going wrong, how can you go right? It's impossible.
It's true. So what's your plans for when you're 40? Because we're going to get one. You're only going to be one away after today.
I'll have to come back and talk about that in another podcast.
Your fucking goals are weak, man. 20's not enough.
Once I hit 20, I'll keep going. But like, as I said, when I turn 40, I want to have 20 houses, money in the bank, and whatever. And I'm hopefully be at 19 by the end of the day.
There's no hope. It's happening. Done. It's just a matter of which one. It's not hope or maybe
it's there. Just
be a case of, look, we're going to do a deal. We're going to get a deal done. Remember, it's I'm blunt. Like,
you're blunt. Straight up.
It's none of this fluffy shite. We're doing something will be purchased,
like,
and it will work, and it will make a lot of money, and that is it. Just draw a thick line under it. Done.
When I remember even sending these properties, and it'd be up for like 35,000. I remember one we bought in Chapel Hall, and it was up for like 36,000. And I said, "What do you think, George? What will we get it for?" And he said, "Look, I'll go down and chatter." And then you rang me up and said, "I got it." And I said, "Yeah, how much?" 30. I was like, 30? Sure, they're looking for offers over 36. And you're like, "Yeah." But I told them, like, it was actually 5 years ago. I came back from Australia 5 years ago, February, and that was the time you had the keys collected that place, like, and it was like a show house when we walked in. You know, but like, you having the relationship with all these different, you know, with different estate agents and knowing different people and everything like that, and they know when you come to town, you're down to do business. Like, you're the day of the Wednesday, cut the cake. You're going to do homework. You're not going around to waste people's time. You know. And
it's crazy because there's even agents I haven't met before, and they listen to the show.
Yeah,
they listen to the podcast, and people, like, it's been one of those things where, you know, that reputation, like I say this all the time, is that a bit like what you say, you're a man of your word. When you've got a reputation, word gets about.
Yeah.
And people don't need to, people can like you or hate you, but you give them no option but to respect you for what you do. And this is the beauty of how we get them. You know, we walk the walk, not just talk the talk. So a lot of people out there are talking, you know,
big notes.
Yeah, I mean, they you know, and I'm not criticising anybody for going out and doing it. You know, they create the image and persona that they're doing things, but in reality, they're not actually doing anything. They're just making a lot of noise. The difficulty is when there's someone out there trusting, like maybe somebody like Lionel, they can get caught up in this.
Yeah.
You know, and it's such an easy trap for them to fall into.
Yeah, and it's cruel, like, because I know Lionel told me, like, that he'd bought property, and it was a very, very good investment, like, where he invested like 50 grand and he got 950,000 profit, something absolutely unbelievable. Like, I even said to him, I even asked you at the time, I said, is this fucking real? Like, because it doesn't sound real. And he got that in 2006, and by 2011, only for you saved him, he was going to be bankrupt.
Yep.
You know, like, it's crazy just to show that, like you said, someone that's so sound, genuine guy, no, like, in all fairness, couldn't meet a more genuine man than Lionel, so straight, like, and that just someone can just tell you what you want to hear, and you end up with nothing. It
was funny because life sort of throws these things in the way, because I mean, I think looking back about Lionel and maybe, you know, you could make an argument in a case that it probably, I could have made more money spending that time elsewhere.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of graft, a lot of time, but I could have not bought the education that mess fixing that gave me.
Yeah.
I could have not purchased that anywhere.
Get that information.
The things that I learned about dealing with people, dealing with Lionel, and more like helping him get round to like salvaging things.
Yeah.
Was night and day. Like, he couldn't get that it was like cramming 3 lifetimes worth of experience into a few years.
Yeah.
And if you were prepared to do it, then you were getting the reward. But I mean, every single bit of chaos that could have happened in that portfolio. Flats being set on fire, flats being stripped to copper, boilers being ripped out, you know, police kicking in doors looking for tenants, fires, floods.
The fence. Remember the land? Remember he bought a land? The fence, you ran every year. It was an annual thing. He was moving the fence over and over trying to claim it. Remember
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah. Crazy.
Just crazy stuff. Like, and it was like just what I remember. Did you ever tell you about the tenant that the armed cops went in to get him?
No.
Right. So this tenant had for whatever reason taken a bit of a turn, and it's funny because he. I'll tell you off air what he said. It's probably not for the listeners. He decided that for whatever reason that he wasn't happy, right? And his way of getting out of his system was running around the flat with an axe and telling the neighbours that he was going to blow up the street and that he'd opened the gas valve and that he was going to light a match and blow the whole street up. So the neighbour called me and says, give me the rundown on what was happening. I says, what's going on? She says, currently the armed response police are waiting to go into the property, and the only thing they're waiting on is the gas company shutting off the gas supply at the street. And when the gas dissipates, they're going to go in and, like, by hook or by crook, this guy's coming out. So I think you're going to need a new door on the property. Right? And I'm like, fucking hell. So it made like the national news. Like, still got the report in there somewhere. And so this guy had just taken a funny turn.
Scottish guy.
Scottish guy, and just went in and, like, decided that he had a mask on and an axe and was threatening. Like, the police were like, we're not taking any of this. We're straight in. And, I got the call. We've been an instant at the property, and we can't go into any further details, but you might need to secure the place. And it's all these sorts of things where, like, see, when somebody comes to me with a problem, like, Dave, I'm like, look, that's not really a problem. Like, have you ever had a roof come off a building? Have you had a tenant that's needed the armed response to get them in? Like, have you had calls at like 8 o'clock? Have you had, like, the local hard man trying to threaten you? Yeah, one day I'll write a story, because there's some things I can't put in air, but I don't know what the limitations of time are in terms of how long something needs to be passed so that you can't get incriminated with it.
Yeah.
But, like, just people just trying to, threaten you and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, look, if you knew what was involved in this, that you might not be as quick to say that your problem's a problem. And a lot of people out there that say, hey, it's all glitz and glam and glorious, it's like, I don't think it is. The reality is it takes work and it takes grind, and there's another side to this. And if you're prepared to go through it, then you can get great rewards. And that was what that taught me with Lionel's stuff, is that it was, I would say the primary thing was experience and knowledge and wisdom that I gained. But another thing that a lot of people don't know was taking that guy who was literally on the brink and reviving that back to life. You went, I've done all right there, that's not bad. And being able to turn that thing at the brink back to profit.
Yeah, because he even said to me, like, only for that, it was gone. Like, he had no option.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you threw out an extreme lifeline. And, like, as you said, if you didn't have the experience even before that, you might have been able to, accommodate him. Like, but you knew what had to be done. You knew the context. You got the work. You got all the places up and going. You were able to tell him, this has to go. You can keep this. But without having experience, you're at nothing. It's like Anthony, even fixing cars. If you don't have the experience, you're at nothing. There'll be plenty of people out there that'll say they can fix it, and I'm not joking. There's people that bring me cars from far and near to fix. Do you know what I mean? Like, and they've brought this lad, they brought that lad, they've spent thousands here, they've spent that, and it could end up being something very, very small. But like you said, like, it's very easy for someone, and now look, there is people on YouTube and they are good. There's no point saying that they have information, but there's also a lot of people there that say it's very easy. And anyone that's at this game, that's invested and has had long-term tenants, short-term tenants, had everything, they can, if they're true to their word, they'll be able to say, we had some headaches. We had some headaches. Like, as I said, I came back from Australia in February 19, and I had a woman, Angela, her, she was in a house, not paying rent. You'd gone down to the first year tribunal. I'm over in Sydney. I'm relying on you to go doing all these things for me. And you go to the first year tribunal, and she's just constantly putting it off, making a small payment, trying to kick it down the road. And I agreed to pay her £900 and hire a van to help her move all her stuff if she moved out. So even though she hadn't paid me rent, I was still willing to give her money to get her out of my house and move her stuff anywhere she wanted. I didn't care where it was, just to get this rectified. And I landed, and as I came off the plane, I flew from Hong Kong to Heathrow to thing. And as I turned on my phone and got a message from her, I decided I'm not going moving out. And these are the challenges they're put through. And like you're saying, I'm after spending all this money, coming over here to get this sorted, and now she's after changing her mind. Like, there's no YouTube channel or anything that can teach you about these. And you cannot just throw someone out in the street. That's not the way. You have to go through the channels. You have to, you have to obey by the law. It's not you're going to go down and take their front door off their house. It doesn't work. People might think, I'll just go down, I'll break the window. That's not going to happen. Like, you're going to have to put a new window in for her while she's in the house. because the police will ring you or the council will ring you. So you get blacklisted. So these are all the things, even though, yeah, you do make money at property, but you have to be prepared that there is going to be a speed bump along the way. Like, it's going to happen. Like,
it's not hassle free.
It's not hassle free, no.
Yeah.
The reward is good, but when it goes bad, as you said, it's not really a problem. Like, it's not an issue really when you look at the long term. It's like anything. Like, you could do 20 jobs, and one in that 20 job could go completely wrong, or you price a job, and that one job out of 20 that you priced, you cut yourself short, but you've no choice. You have to continue and just get it done and just put it behind you.
Yeah.
But like, property definitely, for investment and everything like that, is a great way to create passive income. Like, it's to be financially free. Like, and even, I was in Dubai there in the summer on holidays, and I got sick, and I had to get new flights and everything. It cost me $8,000 to get hospital bills, get home, and only for I had that money over here from, I had that money, so that it didn't put me, when I came back to Ireland, it wasn't like I'm under pressure with credit card companies or anything like that. I had that money from rental income, and thank God, a few months pass, the money's back in the account. It's like it never went anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, so look, at anyone that wants to get involved in property, they have to understand it's not a thing that you can, like, was it William Smythe, the guy that did everything, and he even said about buzzwords and all this, where people go and do courses and they think, right, we've learned a new word, we're going to go out and we're going to do it. It doesn't work. Like, it'll work, you'll think, in your head, but like, when you actually go on to do it, it's not that straightforward. Like, it's very easy. Talk is cheap. Very easy to say, do this, do that, take your money. But the reality of it is, can it actually happen that fast? No.
The thing is, as well, is that you have people will rely on, like, for instance, a letting agent and a mortgage broker and a solicitor and an accountant and so on, but none of them have the full picture. And when their remit of what they know, they say, well, you need to go and speak to someone else, and it ends up like a hot potato. It just keeps getting passed around, and you can end up getting lost because you don't really know the information. You're going to the professionals, and they only know their part, and then you go, well, what do I do next? And this is where having the complete set of information, but from someone that's been through all of it, where when you hit a bump that you don't know and they run out of their expertise, someone goes, I know what you need to do. It's just like the same as if you get a car.
Yeah.
And someone goes, I know exactly what that is, but you've went 10 garages and you can't fix it.
Yeah.
And it's that experience of someone that's been there, done it, got the t-shirt. And that's the key to it. That's why it's so key to have someone with the knowledge, the experience that's continuing to develop it and is willing to share it with you, because then you'll just never feel stuck. You'll always find a way to get past it.
Well, another thing is, it's like I keep preferring the car trade because what I know, but like, you can go on Dundee, you can go on Gumtree, you can go on all these, and you can just buy a car, right? You can buy any car. Like me sending you the dirt at 12 o'clock at night, right? I can go off and I can buy any of them at any time, but without having someone that knows it, that can check it over and say, hang on a second, this is going to need 20 grand. Are you willing to spend that money on it? If you spend 20 grand, you might be able to turn it around. But anyone can go out and buy a house. But they could buy, like you were saying, like, you could buy something and you're just going to be constantly losing it, and it's going to end up costing you money. It's not worth it. It's better to get someone that's familiar with, the area maybe, or familiar with what's going on around there. Is there a bus stop? Is there a train station? Is there schools? All these things that appeal to different people. Like, because obviously, you mightn't want to have a short-term let. You might want to have a long-term let, and to have all the amenities close to you is a big thing. Like, so you might have a single parent and they don't have a car. They want somewhere they can walk to a parade of shops, so they can. Their school is only walking distance, or there's a bus that can go there. But without having that information, you're just buying something maybe off a screen and taking a chance. Like, I've seen a couple of people on YouTube, and one of the YouTubers said, just go on Rightmove, go on Zoopla, and set it 100 miles from your house and go there, right? That's easy to say, go 100 miles from your house. You're going into a management company that doesn't care, because they're going to get paid anyways. You get me? Like, so if your property is renting and you're only getting 400 a month, they're getting 10% of that, so they have £40 of it immediately, right? They don't care, like. Or to get someone that can say, right, don't buy here. This is someone that's concerned about where you're buying. This is someone that wants you to make an investment that is safe, and to get that, it comes at a price. You need to deal with right people. Like I said, people bring me cars long and near. One guy, he spent over €1,000 on his car to get it past the NCT, which is like the MOT. They had put 4 or 5 catalytic converters in it. They had all these oxygen sensors changed, all this to wasted money. And turns out all it was a little valve in the pipe that had failed. £100 for the pipe. Do you get where I'm coming from? Like, so it's madness. Do you get me? Like, so someone that doesn't know how to diagnose something right can end up costing you thousands of euros. And at the end of the day, he's still going to get paid. So he doesn't care. Do you get me? To get results, you need to have people that are experienced. Going on YouTube, doing these channels, doing these courses where you pay someone £500 to learn how to be an investor, and we're going to guarantee all this. It might work for some.
Yep.
It's not going to work for everyone.
It's good stuff. Well, hope you've enjoyed coming in.
Charge. Brilliant. Absolutely unreal.
It'll be good to have you back on.
Yeah, hopefully now when I'm 40 and I have the
you're gonna,
100 houses.
I reckon we'll get you back once you hit your 20 target, because it's going to be very soon.
Right.
It's going to be well before you're 40. See if it isn't, I will eat my hat.
That's fine.
I will literally retire. I'll say that I'm not any good at what I do.
And you're not going to just tell me to buy the worst shithole and
no, because I'll be left with it. That's me that deals with it. That's why I'll keep you away from the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
Like, no, we'll get you the good stuff, but it'll be fast. It'll be easy because we're going to get one tomorrow, and then we're just one more to go. So you're going to need to have bigger goals. We're going to need to discuss what it was like when you hit your number 20.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there'll be stuff that will come to us after we do this, because we're going to go and do some content. Yeah. We're going to go and look at some properties. We're going to look at a before. We're going to look at an after. Yeah. So something that's not got anything done to it. We're going to look at something when it's been done, what it looks like. And then we're going to go and check out some deals for you to buy.
Thanks, George.
It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thanks
for coming along, making an effort all the way from Ireland.
It's all right. Anytime, well worth it.
So there you go. Dave and his adventures all across the world. We hope you enjoyed this episode, because he has went from the quiet coastal village or town in Ireland, made his way to the bright lights and big city in London, and then somehow ended up in a caravan that was falling apart in Aberdeen, then decided to go to two of the biggest well-known continents in the world, being America and Australia. Then made it back here with his wife, now has a big goal. He's got a daughter that he's building this future for. He's telling you the importance of cash flow, why it's important to get the right type of investments for your strategy, what not to fall into the trap of when you're looking at Zoopla and Rightmove at the early hours of the morning, and how to keep away from all the dodgy stuff. So we hope you enjoyed his story with all the twists and tales in it. We'll put Dave's contact information if you're ever in Ireland and you need a car fixed, you want a super duper mechanic to solve the problem, to stop you getting shafted by the other garages. He's your man. And we'll definitely get him on for a part 2 when he's found out his big goals, because we're about to go and smash his target very, very shortly. You can follow me on all the social media channels. We're in Conversations with an Investor. We're on all the major platforms. Be sure to give us a like, comment and a follow, and let us know what you thought of this episode. From us this week, that's a wrap.